Welcome to the LXC.
But let's start with, alphabetical order. Akuma Shuriken. Now, for dropping point Black Frost, which is our second team.
Saying we got Ego Nog or Ego Nog, I guess, is how that would be pronounced.
Yeah, for NLE, we've got a roster that's been just updated.
Now I think on to our next team that everybody's been hoping for, waiting to hear about. We got RAWR Street Logic.
This is Seneca Esports, and they're actually a collegiate team. Hello and welcome to Split 2 Week 1 of LXC, Split 1, Season 2 for Warden. It's going to be our first Warden games, which is our new division, our highest division here. I'm Scarlet Q and I'm here today with Freydles, and we're going to be casting some games today. So,
should be an exciting matchup.
Yeah, for sure.
We got NLE Legionnaires.
I'm definitely excited to see what these teams can bring us, for sure. Being our highest and newest division, especially a team under the name of RAWR, but not quite RAWR. So, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it is the RAWR name. Unfortunately, Doki will not be joining us tonight, at least from what we know. He could always drop in at the last moment. You never know with him, but should have been an
Game
exciting
three's
matchup.
like,
Like you said,
coming
it's the
in.
highest. Yeah. Would not surprise me if we suddenly get an emergency sub of Doki hopping in like game 3 or something. You never know. Like you said, it is the highest league in LXC. This splits the newest league, so it should be an exciting matchup. It is NLE Legionnaires versus RAWR Street Logic is the name of their team. And we got a Vigar bot in the lobby for a second. Oh, now we got Yorick.
That probably will not be what they're going with, but who knows? I haven't checked the rules. I don't think it's allowed, but at the same time, I don't think the enemy team would really mind. So, regardless,
Yeah.
So, for people that are either haven't watched the split yet because they haven't been paying attention to the other divisions or new to LXC, it is going to be best of 3 for the regular season. I believe we have NLE on blue side for game 1, but after that, loser will select, and we will get into draft pretty soon. Because the teams are, they're looking like they're at least getting somewhat ready. Not everyone's where they should be, but whatever. Teams take a second sometimes.
I feel like we're
that's
missing
fine.
one person right now. No, we're missing 2 because you're still in one of the teams. Because the spectator
Yeah.
lobby's full.
Right. But the spectator has a player or two because there's a Spear Queen, who, as you may know,
Exactly.
is
So I
Spear
think we're
Queen
missing
#Nitaly.
2 players.
And for
We'll
Spear
see.
Queen
We'll see if they
#Nitaly,
manage to play Nitaly tonight.
right, exactly. That's the first thing I was going to mention. Is that going to make it through the ban phase? Hope I'm not giving anything away about their draft or anything about Spear Queen Nitaly with the Nitaly icon. But we'll see what happens. I feel I don't play Nitaly, by the way. I love whenever players just put in their small little chat thing. But I am curious to see what happens if what happens in the draft, specifically around that and other things. Again, since this is week 1, this will be the first time these players are playing, especially in this division. I don't think many of these players have played in LXC at least. Obviously, we know Piglet, and RAWR has probably been around or the team that's RAWR picked up probably has been around for a while. But we'll see what's going on. For other people that are new as well, Aurora is disabled for this week and next week, but after that, she will be available. And hopefully draft law will work. I don't know if anyone who was here yesterday unfortunately had to use a different drafting service, so there might be some delays there. But it should ideally just work.
It is on at least this LXC. Teams can bring.
Yeah. It looks like some players are already saying it's not working.
Came up for me, but I opened.
Well, you could draft for them then.
Yeah,
hopefully.
I tried to open the draft law link and it was not working for me. I believe in Soul's drafting ability.
Either way, we'll make sure the stream gets it. We'll just let you know whether or not we will be delayed and on that other site that might not look as pretty. But we will get into draft soon. I think both teams have said they're in, and I believe production is in. So I think we should get into draft pretty soon, and then we will see if they're afraid of the Nidalee or not. Or the Shaco, Shaco. The Shaco one-trick pony.
Yeah, that's Shaco. That's the true threat early there.
It looks like we are into draft. Blue side is at least here. So we'll see if RAWR is able to connect, and I think we're good to go. At least the timer's counting down, so hope we're good to go.
We shall see what the first ban will be.
Okay, so
will it be that Nidalee ban?
Is an interesting one. So a lot of the supports were nerfed just 2 days ago with the Warmogs nerf, but I'm not surprised that people are still afraid of the engaged supports. They can still go Warmogs, they just have to delay it, so they're that power spike is a little less soon. But both teams electing to ban supports first. I do wish Raul was a flex still, but she's not. She's just a support now.
No,
regardless,
they could pull out the rail jungle if it wasn't banned, but we don't know.
I am kind of interested to see what NLE is willing to blind pick. These bans during the first week especially mostly just tell a team's version of the meta. maybe what they scouted if they want to ban a one-trick pony or something. But I think the true story will be in blue pick 1. What are they willing to take? Because, like, I feel like we've seen Caitlyn ban all week long. Just one of those champions that's really annoying whenever you're still getting to know your team, know your enemy. You don't want to play against Caitlyn. There's the NLE ban, so Nita Queen will have to go for the Shaco one trick, I guess. But I'm curious to see if NLE ever drops that ban, or if Spear Queen will get to play that later. Ezreal, another ban. It looks like bot lane is the focus for a lot of teams, which I respect. I think it is the correct call for sure. And in fact,
And
we're
the
blind
first
picking
pick-
bot lane. Yeah.
I
Kaisa
was gonna
is
say
a really interesting blind pick.
Yeah, the 80 carry first pick generally it's a safe one. You could blind pick a lot of 80 carries. I was expecting more of the Jinx, but the Kaisa still makes sense. You can play Kaisa into a lot of matchups. And then the response, it's looking like the Zeri actually. Not a bad pick into the Kaisa. It definitely scales better. Kaisa's Zeri Nautilus. I like that bot lane. It's gonna be a scrappy bot
Interesting.
lane.
Right? I mean, I feel like Zeri was always happy with enchanters, but nowadays with her new style, which is to say no more Titanic Hydra, I mean, I guess that build is pretty old. She could definitely work with the Nautilus, especially into something short range like Kaisa. Just try to all in her more, but Braum is saying that they're not afraid. Emily wants to scrap as well. So we'll have to see how that bot lane goes. It's definitely going to put a lot of pressure there, which means the junglers are going to be looking there. And something like Viego could put a lot of pressure there. Nautilus always is afraid of a gank because he's trying to go all in. And something like Viego can definitely snowball there.
Yep, the Viego does make a lot of sense. Able to have a lot of impact in that bot lane, the 3v2 or 3v3. Really strong. Why is my phone? I thought my phone was ringing for a second. Sorry. But yeah, that Viego, that early game strong jungler, is able to make a lot of impact in that bot lane where it's going to be very scrappy. The Kaisa Braum versus the Zeri Nautilus. Both teams are going to be going in saying, I'm just going to try and ego check you. I want the kills. Who needs to farm this lane, really?
Well,
and the Tristana mid.
Yeah, this is interesting. So Tristana was not only nerfed, but you also are already showing your bot lane. Because usually with the Tristana mid, you want to show a bit of AP bot lane, but now they're saying our jungler or top lane are going to play AP and immediately NLE capitalize on that, ban a top laner who goes AP. You know Spear Queen can't play Nidalee, so what other AP is left? The top bans, however, from RAWR show that maybe they're trying to get a matchup there that they want with an AP in mind. I wonder if NLE can snipe it. Banning Fury and Riven, I'm not well versed on my top lane matchups, so maybe someone else can tell me if that means that they're signaling Mordekaiser or something. I don't know, but it's not Gwen, and let's see if NLE can snipe that AP top that they're probably going to blind pick.
I am seeing in chat from Macro Beast apparently. He is a Zeri top OTP. They're saying.
Oh, of course, my mistake.
Yes. So it could be that Zeri top lane. Yeah. Send that Tristana bot lane with a Nautilus.
So they don't blind pick the top laner. They're gonna pick Lilia, which is a great AP jungler to go, and leaves you open up for counter matchups with so many top laners already banned, right? Or just 2 so far, but still. Lissandra is usually a counter pick to short range assassins. I guess it could work against the Tristana, especially with the nerfs. But I'm curious to see if they actually lock it in, or if that's just a hover. It works well in their comp. But I am curious if they can make that matchup work, because I don't think I've seen that much. And then Aatrox's blind pick is pretty safe.
The Tristana jumps on top of you as Lissandra. You just use your W, Rooter, E away, hopefully Rooter under tower. Tristana kind of cries a little bit. Not the most fun when you want to be jumping on top of the enemy team's laner as Tristana mid and trying to kill him as much as you can. The Lissandra's just a very safe pick into that. Can stop a lot of what Tristana wants to do, especially early game.
Yeah, for sure, Tristana doesn't get to play the aggro version that you like to see, but at the same time, she's also a scaling champion, so you just outrange Lissandra and you scale up. I think that's also a victory condition, especially whenever your bot lane's already pulling so much pressure. So I think you might see a different side of Tristana than you're used to, but with the nerfs, maybe that's not as possible. Cassante locked in, makes sense, and all 3 lanes are looking very, very volatile, which is really interesting with the early game junglers as well.
Oh yeah, Lilia versus Viego. I'm curious to see because I'm not super familiar with jungle's top 2v2s, but from what I would say, I'd honestly give the edge probably to the Aatrox Viego if they're to get into a
Mhm.
full 2v2 top lane scrappy. But of course, the mid laner's roaming. That could always throw a cog in that plan, but we'll have to see. I'm curious to see where the junglers are going to start and where they're going to put their focus on right
Well,
now.
that's the thing, right? Because like, there's an argument for all three lanes. Like, if I'm the mid laner, if I'm the top laner, I'm like, jungle, come here. But if I'm bot lane, I'm like, I'm Kaisa Braum against Nautilus Larry. What are you doing? Get over here, level 3 gank me. So
Right.
I think that the junglers are gonna have a lot of just a lot of salesmen in their team, all begging to be. You got to sell your lane as a gank target. Okay, this is how I feel like sometimes it works as a jungler. Your laners are like trying to give you the best offer, the best deal, and I'm telling you, if I see Nautilus area, I'm already interested in that sale. Okay.
Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I feel like the bot lane, at least for RAWR, probably has the better scaling. I, looking at the two of them, I'd say RAWR probably scales better, but NLE's draft is definitely like probably more powerful early game. No matter where that Viego decides to go, there's a lot of follow-up damage, there's a lot of CC. So I think if Viego might just be able to snowball, get a couple of early kills, it could look very good for NLE in this game.
Yeah, I'm not seeing like some key inevitability factor. Sometimes you look for the smolder or the ASL and you say that team, if it goes past 40 minutes, will win the game. And Tristana used to be that, Kaisa used to be that, but I don't think they're quite at that level anymore, especially after the Tristana nerfs are more early game. Zeri used to be that as well, and now she's not as much. So I
Yeah,
think
100%.
does have a slight advantage if the game goes to 40 minutes, but before that, I couldn't really tell you. And I think you're just gonna have to look at the volatility of the lanes and see what happens, really. You're not gonna be able to really figure out who even gets dragons early just from team comps alone. I think it's gonna be based on the player's macro and micro.
Yeah. We're going to have to really keep our eye out on the junglers here. That's going to be the main deciding factor in this early game. Like, Tristana versus Lissandra, there might be some kills there, but like I said, Tristana's going to be the one wanting to be aggressive in that lane, and Lissandra can really stop all that she wants to do. The Braum Kaisa versus the Zeri Nautilus, it really depends on who starts the fight earlier. If Nautilus lands a hook, then Zeri can probably burst down either of them. But if the Braum lands a Q on them, if Kaisa has Hail of Blades, that's just almost instant CC on them. So it's really going to be dependent on the jungle matchups or the jungle pathing and where they decide to put their focus on in the early game to see like which team will be able to get a lead early. Like I said,
Yeah,
I
and
believe
following
RAWR
that,
has the advantage in the scaling, but
And in following that, I think that level 1 vision is going to be very key in jungle tracking. Does Nautilus believe that he is safe to engage? Or is Viego possibly lurking behind a corner? Is a level 3 gank going to be successful? Or is it just going to be walked away from? How does the wave control go from levels 1 to 4? I think that will definitely be key things to watch for to get some kind of idea of what's going to happen before it actually pops off.
yeah. Well, we'll see. Lilia can be very strong. She scales really well. I think she scales a bit better than Viego, but if she can get a couple of early kills, that Lilia can also just go nuts in this early game. So we'll have to see.
Absolutely.
I think honestly, yeah, like I said, there's a lot of follow-up CC on NLE's side. So I'd like to see Viego really playing really aggressive early game, trying to get his laners ahead, maybe get himself a couple of kills. But that's what I want to see out of this early game. Make sure that RAWR cannot scale to where they want to.
Yeah, absolutely. And to that end, curious if they go for the Dragon Wing condition or the Grubs. Either way, we're going to find out after our quick little break, and then we will be into game 1 between NLE and RAWR, the first game of the split of the season for Warden.
You know I don't play right. Just give me the word, You know I don't play right. Don't give me this. I'm gonna get back when I feel like. You know I don't play right. I'll put up a good fight. Just give me the word, You know I don't play right. You know I don't play right. Don't give me this. I'm gonna get back when I feel like. Don't give me this. You know I don't play right. I'll put up a good fight. Just give me the word, You know I don't play right. You know I don't play right. Don't give me this. I'm gonna get back when I feel like. You know I don't play right. Just give me the word, You know I don't play right. Don't give me this. I'm gonna get back when I feel like. You know I don't play right. Just give me the word, You know I don't play right. Don't give me this. I'm gonna get back when I feel like. You know I don't play right. I'll put up a good fight. Just give me the word, You know I don't play right. You know I don't play right.
Hello and welcome to the Rift for Game 1. Well, actually, so there's a slight technical issue. We're gonna be paused for a little bit. It should be resolved soon, but unfortunately, we live in 3 minutes behind. So it will be just a few more minutes probably, but then we'll get back into game immediately. No more breaks. So we just wanted to let everyone know what was going on. Slight pause issue, but then we'll be getting into game 1.
I always say
Yeah.
it's classic Rito. They had a patch day yesterday. Something always has to break. That's
Yeah.
doesn't matter what they fix. Something breaks that they didn't even touch in the patch. Like what can we say? Happening for years.
But yeah, we can talk more about the drafts, I suppose, or the first 3 seconds of the game. I think the draft's more interesting. I can tell you that Kaisa brought Cleanse, which is honestly kind of
Did see
interesting.
that.
Because she's only gonna cleanse at night or sleep, I guess. It looks like we're gonna show you the game on screen real quick, and then the game will
Alright.
have a little bit of a buffering issue, and then we should be good.
Okay, I'm glad my client's not the only one that's frozen.
Yeah, it'll unfreeze soon. But
Okay.
yeah, so as you can see, we can't tell exactly what all the items are gonna be, but we can see the summoners at least, the runes. Fleet footwork for Zeri makes a lot of sense. Press the attack for Kaisa. Probably going traditional hybrid Kaisa build. I always play AP, so I don't know what the regular build is. But you know, teleports top lane, teleports mid lane, very standard stuff. However, this level 1 looks a little spicy for NLE.
Yeah, we've got a 5-man camp in the tri-bush. Maybe they're expecting the invade, because that's usually what you want to do for a counter invade look. You expect the Nautilus to be walking into the tri-brush trying to throw a hook out, so you send all 5 of your people in there. So it seems like they are more expecting an invade from our side. I doubt that NLE is looking for an invade with this 5-man, but who knows? Nautilus getting a little close to the brush, but yeah, people are back in. So it looks like there's not going to be too much action at this level 1.
It's interesting that Raw Street Logic didn't even face check anything, so they weren't looking for a deep ward at all with their Nautilus power. So it just ends up pretty much even. And again, this means that the jungle will be completely in the dark, with both bot lanes not leashing as well, even though Lilia looks to start bot lane, I think. But Nautilus is in a bush pretty far ahead of where he's supposed to be.
Oh, I like
Kaisa
this.
walking
Maybe a little
around
bit of
it.
level 1
They face
cheese.
checking it. Yeah, but this is so hard for them. Even with block, that's a lot of damage off on Braum. Nautilus does take a bit as well. But
Yeah,
Nautilus
it's a little bit
is
of support
probably...
trade.
Yeah. And I think Zeri is just a little bit better positioned to get this wave push in. I mean, Kaisa does have Q, so I could see her pushing for level 2 early. You can see her Q now, and they're up a minion. But then again, honestly, even if they're only like 1 minion behind, Zeri could stand it out, let Nautilus CC, stay at level 1, and then get the level 2 1 minion late and still win that trade, I believe, with the health bars the way that they are. Let's see what actually ends up happening. Looks like last minion will be coming soon. You can see that they actually give up to level 2. Nautilus comes in for the hook. Cleanse comes out. Nautilus is stunned. Flash out from Braum. And absolutely, Rush Street Logic have won the level 2 rush and trade.
Yep, they definitely have there. You can see Nautilus was walking forward. He knew exactly when that minion was going to be falling. And the instant cleanse for the Kaisa was good. Probably saved her flash in that situation. But yeah, it's a little bit of a one trade there for RAWR. And you'll know they'll just be, they should be at least using this early tempo to get that early push. Maybe they'll get an early cheater recall in. We'll have to see. The Braum's getting good poke onto the Nautilus with his Q there, though. Nautilus may have to be a little bit careful moving forward. Maybe, like I said, maybe get that early cheater recall in, refill on health a little bit, but we'll have to see. And in top lane, we're seeing a little bit of trading going on too. Cassante taking a lot of damage up there. Using about half his
Yeah, I
health
kind of
bar.
glaze over when I look top lane. Sorry, I was looking at bot lane because they did elect to stay, and they were to try, which means they'll probably see this Viego gank. But they are going to be pushing in whenever Viego is coming, and I think that's the next inflection point. They do spot him. And I think they're okay.
Yeah, they should be fine. They had enough early advance notice of that Viego coming in. And if you look at the minions, I believe the minion wave was actually pushing towards RAWR's side of the map. So they weren't too scared of that Viego gank there. It's mostly there just to shadow his own bot lane to make sure that they could get a little bit of a push going. You can see it's starting to slow push towards RAWR's side right now. So it's just there in case the enemy team's jungler showed up. Ooh, but we're seeing possibly
2v2 in the mid lane. No stun though, or root, and now Viego's coming in at the wrong time. Maybe Tristana gets bursted though. She has all the summoners, jumps out so she's fine. Although Lilia can't really 1v2, can she? She's actually doing it. She doesn't hit the Q though, and she doesn't even have the ability to flash in. She has to flash out. Still burning. I don't think Viego can flash in though. He chose for it, gets the reset, and now Tristana can't answer because of that reset. Lissandra also looking to make sure to get the crash, that E just to zone her out, so that way they can get the crash in his first blood for NLE, just barely off the Viego reset. And now top lane also, Cassante has to flash out. Oh, look at this support play. You don't see this very often. Not only does he get the freeze off, but he cancels the back from Nautilus. What an absolute giga chat. I mean, come on. He completely destroys the bot lane in one play. Walks up, tanks cannon, makes Nautilus have to recall late so that way Zeri can't even come in and help crash this herself.
Yeah, so yeah, you see a really good bot lane play out of NLE right here. They may not have gotten that level 2 all in, but you're right, that Braum there just being a major annoyance to that Nautilus there. Making sure he gets the freeze for his kite so they don't lose any minions at their tower because of that. And then, yeah, stopping Nautilus's back, delaying him a little bit, but you'll see they're both back in the lane now, so it'll just be another standard 2v2 bot lane. We'll have to see what happens there. Like we said, Zeri Nautilus versus Kaisa Braum, very scrappy bot lane. I expect you can see the Viego starting to path towards bot lane now.
Wait, actually, Cassante's calling trouble again. He has no flash, but the 2v2 bot lane is actually where the camera takes us because Nautilus has to hook out. I think Cassante gets out with his life. Sorry to interrupt you. Just looked like top lane was going to do something.
It did, but yeah, Cassante just running away.
Root is really strong here. Tristana does have flash though, so I don't think there's any threat here. Here comes the jump out, and everything's okay because both mid and jungle for NLE used flash before. So just a little scrap, but this does mean that Emery's is going to look for the dragon because of his mid and bot prio.
Yeah, just should be an early drink going over the side of NLE. We'll have to see if Lily is going to respond with getting those grubs. Like you said, NLE putting the prio on the Drake, but Lily is actually coming up mostly just to shadow the Cassante, make sure he can get that crash before he gets back.
Wait, but level 6 Aatrox can 1v2 in this kind of situation, so they have to be a little careful. I do like bringing up Spear Queen to bail out Cassante, but who's going to bail out Spear Queen? And unfortunately, the wave continues to be frozen. I mean, it gets a little bit of a crash off, I think, so it's not the worst for SGM. but that's not really the play you want your jungler to have to be forced to make.
Yeah, the wave's just resetting now, and you do see actually NLE's rotating their support up towards top, and they're looking for that grub play now. So not only did they get the Drake, they're also trying to get all three grubs too. That's a
Does
really
look like
good
it's going to be a
tempo
fight,
play
but
from the side of
Cassante is
NLE.
so late. Now the hook comes in. They are fighting 3v4. The freeze is a stun. There's just too many people here. 4v3. That's going to be one down. It's a reset as well. Tristana has nowhere to go. She will go down as well. And poor Nautilus came up here just to die.
Really good heads-up play from NLE there. They knew they had the numbers advantage, and you even saw, who was it? I think the Lissandra actually canceled the Tristana jump away. So Tristana couldn't easily jump out. She had to burn her flash, and she still ended up dying there. So, yeah, it was really just not the bit of an unlucky play for RAWR Esports there.
Okay, I want to sing Kane's support play again, because now that Kai'Sa's level 6, Bongo's able to completely zone out Zeri, and the only reason why that level gap exists is because of that freeze that Braum set up before. I mean, there might be some other micro reasons we missed, but that definitely shows like a half of a wave lead. Meanwhile, top lane, SGM is in trouble again, has to ult into a fully stacked mini wave. There's no way he can Cassante out of this. Surely he is going to be low on health, gets the triple Q, is trying to run. But no, Aatrox says, I may be from a season or two ago, I still got it.
I mean, I still remember the old Aatrox, so maybe more than a season or two, but nobody remembers old Aatrox anymore. Nobody wants to remember it,
Oh,
at
the
least.
play coming in with Lilia. It looks like the bowling ball only hits Braum. They are going to just ult him. Bongo is also in trouble, does have flash. Just Kane flash for now. Bongo gets to save his, and they're able to get out of the Lilia ult with only Braum flash.
Look, Kaisa cleanse too, but are we really caring about that one right now? The Kaisa is doing a really good job of that instant cleanse whenever the Nautilus. You saw the Nautilus try to, I think it was flash auto or flash hook. The Kaisa just instant cleanse. Like, I'm not letting you kill me here. Really good use of the Kaisa ultimate to help kite her way out of that too. Reposition herself, get herself back behind that Braum, and yeah, just a little bit of a failed gank on the Lilia side up from Spear Queen there.
Okay, but now
Right.
Lissandra's actually being the aggressive one onto Tristana because Viego is here, and that's going to be another kill. Lilia is here to just maybe save the wave. I'm not sure, because now Tristana resetting on her. And actually another jump! Viego getting more resets than Falcon and Fiora did.
Now, this is a spicy game. We were saying this was going to be a really scrappy team fight right now, and like we talked about in the draft, NLE definitely has the stronger early game draft, where RAWR definitely kind of wants to scale, and you can see it right now with the 3k gold lead that NLE's gotten for themselves.
Okay, but Nautilus is behind NLE's bot lane. I'm not sure that they're that far ahead that they want to face check that with Lilia lurking, but it doesn't seem like Spec Leona wants to pull the trigger, and I can respect that. They don't have the Lilia ult or the Zeri ult. They're still somewhat looking somewhat aggressive, but I think Lilia is just saying, let me get the crab. We're going to have to farm up and try to get the late game. Meanwhile, SGM is just absolutely not able to play the lane.
Yeah, that is, it feels unfortunate when you are 30 CS behind in top lane. The enemy team's Aatrox has 3 kills, and yeah, it becomes a little unplayable at that point, I feel like. You kind of just have to take what you can get, farm your under your tower, and just say, whatever I get is a gift to me.
The
from
W
the
doesn't cancel Aatrox cage. Looks like he's still okay, but then not okay because the tower dive is coming. Your ults may say that you can kill a lot of people, but you cannot kill an Aatrox. Meanwhile, Viego coming over for the 1v3! Doesn't quite get the reset, and the Lilia ult comes out. Kaisa might look for a W. Viego does get shut down, but it goes to Nautilus Ignite. I don't think it's going to continue. Spear Queen gets rooted. Nautilus hook is good, though. They have the Lissandra ult. Goes on aggressive, but Zeri is coming, and Tristana comes in. Kaisa gets another kill, but Zeri is still looking. Braum is able to dissipate the fight. And yes, it was a 2-for-2, but that's probably favors RAWR Street Logic whenever they were already so far behind.
Yep, it was definitely a good kill there. Like you said, it was a shutdown on Emrys. I believe it's how that name's pronounced, but it did go over to the Nautilus. Not exactly who you want that to be going to. You want it on your carries, either the Zeri or the Tristana, the ones who are going to be scaling, the ones who want those items. But it's still a good heads-up play from RAWR there, RAWR Street Logic, and yeah, they're trying to show, hey, we may be behind, but we will still look for these plays, though. It's kind of more the Viego looking on the aggressive play on Falcon, but still RAWR is fighting back. They are not out of this yet. It's only 11 minutes into the game, but still, it is a big gold lead actually for 11 minutes in the game. NLE is 4,000 gold up, and you see in this the SGM is just getting bullied out by Fury here.
Yeah, the lead is going to definitely balloon in the top lane. Viego also was able to sneak by and get those grubs, so that is a 6 grub advantage for this Aatrox, who is definitely going to be under SGM's tower a bunch, putting it under pressure. You can see it's already at less than 100 health, I think. I mean, not 100, but 630 health. Those grubs are coming in, making it down to 628, 604. And there's no one coming. No Viego. And Tristana's definitely not coming. Not Viego, sorry. No Lilia. Tristana's not coming. But the aggression might come from SGM himself. Gets out the Aatrox ult. Oh my god. But the flash in the tower goes down to the grubbies. And SGM just barely can't calculate it. I think if the tower lives, maybe he has a chance. And they're going to use that aggression by SGM, which they know is going to draw Spear Queen to also take the dragon.
Yeah, this is a really strong early game showing right now from NLE. Fury is just having his way in the top lane. He's doing whatever he wants. He's constantly pushing under tower, and yeah, SGM, it feels bad. Like, you're 45 CS down. Your top laner has now 4 kills. That is a 3k gold difference in the top lane right now. Like, NLE is up, what is it, 5,500 gold now, and 3,000 of that is just in the top lane.
And just to be clear, it's easy to say to SGM, hey, solo queue thing, play safe. What are you doing? Play safe. But that was so close to being the right play. They knew it was the isolated 1v1. If the tower just lived for a little bit longer, or maybe just a little bit more outplay potential from SGM, I think that he had a chance. So I don't think it's necessarily a misplay. You can look at the facts and be like, it's level 8 to level 10. What are you doing, bud? But I don't know. It almost worked, you know?
Well, maybe if Aatrox had 1 or 2 less kills, maybe if the level lead was closer, that could have gone in the favor of SGM. But Aatrox knows he has that lead, or Fury knows he has that lead. He knows he can just out-trade him at this point, dive him under tower. You see, Aatrox Fury has the completed Eclipse, and he's building towards what the right now off the top of my head. I see it's Tumbler. I'm not a top lane player. I don't know bruiser items very well. I know Eclipse because I play AD carry, and a lot of assassins love to build that and just one-shot my face. Or at least they used to. Now it's bruisers that build that and one-shot
Emery's
my
is
face.
just completely bullying Spear Queen now. The top lane has become the same dynamic that was in the jungle as well. The 2-level gap showing up there. And Viego gets a solo kill on Spear Queen. Unfortunately, not on the namesake Nidalee.
Unfortunately, you have to know, with the way this top lane is going right now, Emrys will definitely be in the area trying to take your jungle. So, a little bit of a misplay. Spear Queen should have known, like, hey, you cannot be taking your red buff here. You have to just concede the entire top half of the jungle. This Viego is now looking for the grubs, or I guess it's Rift Herald now. Did they get all 6 grubs?
They got all 6 grubs. They get the Rift Herald. Oh, get the eye, bro. Okay, get the eye. There we go. And
we've all been there.
Immediately, they're grouping up. Tristana just recalled on Vision. Yes, she has teleport, but you can still use the Herald and expect that it's going to take a while to channel. Tristana doesn't even teleport. Fedora says, that tower's gone. I'll just save my TP and have it up for potentially the dragon or some other play. SGM getting bullied again. Just more of the same. Oh, Fedora, it looks like. Oh, but you know what? SGM getting Delph top lane while I'm looking at the minimap mid, because Tristana also looks like Delph is going down. It looks like SGM is faring a little bit better when the tower's at full health, but still gonna lose most of that wave.
Yeah. I like that SGM is still looking for those aggressive trades. He traded ult for ult there with the Aatrox, but at this point, it's about 50 CS, so the CS lead hasn't been exploding top lane. But he kind of has to take what he can get right now. You can see he used his dash back in aggressively there onto the Aatrox, and he ulted him, trying to keep him under the tower there. Maybe if the fight had stuck around, if he was able to CC the Aatrox under tower, could have been a little bit different. But right now, he's just trying to push the Aatrox off, trying to get as much farm as he can, and then try to see if he can come back into this game. He's probably gonna have to play around the rest of the map a little bit more. Maybe he'll get a TP play towards this bot lane. Maybe help here.
I think Zeri moment. Ooh. They are still looking for the dive, though, protected by this teleport. from... Oh, Lilia ult comes in on Lissandra, but Lissandra has a lot of tools to stay safe. They still flash onto her, though. She still has ultimate. She can't use it now. She uses it now, but Cassante is here. What are you going to wait for? Just for death. Meanwhile, somehow Kaisa gets soloed by Fedora. That's not the AD carry you could 1v1. That's an AD carry that's up 2 levels on you.
Yeah, and you can see the Tristana already has the Bork done, whereas Kaisa just has a static shiv. So the Bork's a much better trading item in a 1v1, and the static shiv, while it does give a bit of damage, it's not exactly the same 1v1 power as a Bork Tristana. So
Fury does get this tower for the play as the counterplay. SGM, this is the second time that he's aggressively defended the tower that's going down. This time he should know, holds the W properly for the cage, so he will escape with his life.
Yeah, but RAWR really showing signs of life. That was a really good heads-up play bot lane. They do lose the top lane tower for it, but they pick up that objective bounty of the bot lane
Lilia
tower.
is here, so this means they probably are giving up the dragon, but I think they might just want to make sure Fury doesn't get more. Now, it's possible Lilia is very fast, right? She's got blue smite, or she's got red smite, sorry, my apologies. But she's still Lilia. She moves very fast on the map. She could technically come contest, but it looks like they want Fury to get a little bit baited by the minion wave and make sure he doesn't get any more damage on that inhib. Bowling ball misses though. There's not even an ult anyway, so it would have just been the slow. They're at least gonna buy SGM some time, but that dragon is absolutely going down for NLE for their 3rd dragon.
Yeah, you see the Lily up there just trying to help out the Cassante, help him push out the waves so that he can, or stop really the Aatrox from looking for another aggressive
Nautilus
dive
trying to protect Zeri, but actually needs protection himself. Doesn't have an avenue to flash out. Doesn't even have flash. And now the reset hook. Not quite, but Braum is another support that can do CC. Here comes the cleanse. There's the unstoppable. Viego will get the reset. Doesn't even take it.
Like I said, there's going to be a spicy matchup in this bot lane, and yeah, this Nautilus and Braum, they are showing no fear in these fights.
Yeah, it's kind of broken as an AD carry when you have to play against Nautilus Hook and Braum Q. Like, that's not unfair, man. Come on.
No, it's not fun. I tell you that from experience. It is not fun. Sometimes I feel like, why am I a magnet for this Nautilus Hook? I swear.
Especially whenever you didn't even queue up against Nautilus, right? That's Viego. What the heck is going on here? Meanwhile, the Drowsy coming out just on Braum, has the ability to jump out. I don't think anyone's going to save him, though. Cassante actually ulting to get onto Bongo, but Bongo still has ultimate. Is not using it yet, but is 1v3. I don't think there's a wall you can use. Uses it there. Now Viego's here, gets the reset for him. Lilia's not going to be able to finish this off by herself, maybe with the Q damage on the burn. I think Lime just might finish that off. They get the kill over there because Kaisa dies, but Lissandra went too aggressive on the other side. Now Viego with the reset, going for Zeri. Zeri, however, has E. Zeri moment. She'll be fine. Wait, Viego's actually too far in the other enemy jungle. No resets here. Nautilus could definitely frontline if they can find him. Sweeper looking for him. They can't quite spot him. Now they do. Rude comes out. Viego does not have ultimate. Does have flash. Doesn't matter. He will be shut down. Meanwhile, this entire time, Fury's just been like, guys, you forget about me? I'm gonna take your inhibitor.
And that's a 19.5-minute inhib. That feels bad. We've all been there in solo queue. Your top laner's just kind of having a bad time top lane. You look up top and you're like, why is there an Aatrox at our inhib at 15 minutes? We've all been there.
Exactly.
It happens. As a
Oh,
bot
the
laner,
fake
you're like,
recall.
"What's
This is
Ooh,
bullying
this could be-
behavior. SGM has no idea. You can tell by the way that he's not caring about where he walks. Just get the minions. Here comes Braum.
Ooh.
They don't even need the Braum, bro. But Lilia and Nautilus are here to protect. Cassante does live a long time. They are going to teleport on this play. This is a lot expended for this play, and I'm not sure that it's going to really turn into anything. They could go to the Baron afterwards, but they use teleport just for some priority in the top lane and a red buff.
They could be going for Baron. You saw the pings going out on the minimap earlier while that fight was going on. So I do think NLE might look for the Baron. They might not start it, but they might try to bait them in, and they're just starting
That's
it.
what they're starting it. Vision comes out immediately, so they're aware that it has been started. Continuing to damage it down, not looking to bait at all. Cassante teleporting in for the flank, but it's really slow. Look how quickly this Baron goes down. Finally, someone's in the pit, but Spear Queen is still far away. Cassante comes in just to die, distracts well. The Lissandra ult means Spear Queen can't get anything. Can't even ultimate. And now Zeri is frozen up. Tristana, the backup AD carry, will also go down. Might live for a little bit, but the flash in for Viego ensures it. And they're going to get 4 kills for 0. It's up to them whether they want the Baron or if they want to go for the end of the game. I believe with the wave top lane, that should spell the end of this game. They're even not going to let Leona escape. The ultimate from Kaisa just to make sure everyone goes down. and this wave should mean that NLE take game 1, 1-0.
And yeah, it's looking like a 20-minute banger from this first game of the series. 20 kills to 8 in favor of NLE, a 10,000 gold lead. And yeah, that's just the end of the game right there. That was a fast game. A lot more exciting.
for sure.
Very exciting. And that is a great game 1 to start out the brand new Wardens League, I think. What do you think?
Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely. It showed that there were definitely things that you could see that were different about this league from how the macro went, but there are things that are the same too, where, you know, sometimes one team just gets all 6 scrubs and all the dragons and just kind of snowballs it, you know? You did see more counterplay from the top lane that got a really far behind start, right? So like SGM wasn't out of it at any point necessarily until maybe the inhib went down. But, you know, it was still an Aatrox taken in a 15-minute inhib. So, same story there. Not a good one, even in Warden League.
Yeah, it does feel bad, especially as when you're that Lilia, you want to help out your top laner, but I think you kind of have to understand, like, you have to leave the top laner, you have to leave SGM, you got to leave the Cassante just on an island saying, hey, you have to deal with him, I'm sorry, but we need to make plays on the rest of the map. Like, you saw, they definitely were trying on the bot side, but that with the TP coming in from Cassante there, they were showing some signs of life, but that Aatrox was doing a little bit too much for RAWR to deal with, it felt like.
Well, it
And yeah,
wasn't just Aatrox, right? You can deal with that Aatrox maybe if the rest of the map is good. And Tristana did do a lot. I don't think by any means that she was out of it at any point, but Lissandra just got so far ahead, Piglet getting so much gold from the early plays on the bot side of the map, and with Embry's snowballing on Viego, that Falcon and Fedora maybe got a play or two, especially that moment whenever Bongo tried to 1v1 him as the AD carry. That was a bit sus. But the rest of it, you can tell, definitely went according to plan for NLE.
And we talked about it in draft. We said RAWR really had the scaling comp there, and NLE's was more of an aggressive early game comp. And I think NLE played their comp out beautifully. They played with their strengths. Viego's a very scrappy early game jungler. He loves those 2v2 to 3v3 skirmishes, and he kind of snowballed from them. He knew he had a strong top side of the map in the Aatrox versus Cassante matchup, and yeah, I feel like Lilia's early game, especially pre-6, she doesn't have the best counter ganking potential. Viego was always faster on the play in those 2v2s, and they were able to just burst down the Cassante, and he was just kind of just getting bullied out by the Aatrox there.
And again, I know I mentioned it twice, but I think Kane's play where he literally earned an entire wave advantage for Bongo over Macro Beast in that bot lane by walking up tanking the minions. I mean, I feel like that was the tide of the lane right there. I mean, maybe it would have went the same way regardless, but you saw that moment where Nautilus was able to get that level 2 advantage and get an early lead. They were able to make some nice trades, get some summoner advantages, and then suddenly they come back and the lane's completely different.
Yep. Yeah, there's definitely good. It definitely helped them get that early lead in the bot lane. I didn't check the CS numbers from at the end there, or the gold difference. It's about a 12,000 gold lead for the team, I believe, at the end. I kept commenting on that. A lot of that lead was in the top lane. You saw when it was only a 5,000 gold lead, 3,000 of that was on the Aatrox. But
yeah, for sure.
I'm curious to see how they change up the draft between. And we don't have word yet of which team is taking red side. It is RAWR's choice for this game too, so loser's choice on the second game. But I'm curious to see how they change up, if they change up the draft in any way, or if they just say, hey, the draft was fine, we just need to execute it better and see what they can do.
I think they might be a little bit more shy of the blind pick Tristana. Again, it's not like the performance was poor on Tristana. Fedora did fine, but the nerfs were real. And the laning phase did not go as aggressively as you would have liked it to. And the scaling didn't happen either just because of how much the rest of the map was pulling pressure. And also, I think they might consider if they're going to go 3 volatile lanes like they did. I mean, I guess Aatrox wasn't really their choice, right? You're going to pick a volatile lane into Aatrox. You might want a slightly different jungler to blind pick as well. Or not blind pick, it was showing into Viego. Just so that way you can have that early game pressure that only Emrys was able to really enact on the map. I do think that Lilia showed that you were able to get some aggro plays, some nice ultimates, but with the Braum there and the ability of the AD carry to get out, just because Kaisa had ult and cleanse, it just didn't quite turn into anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like I said, so what do you think coming into draft? What should RAWR do anything different, or what should they do different? Maybe, like you said, not the blind pick Tristana. Maybe pick a different jungler instead of the Lilia. Like if they're gonna pick the Viego, you want another jungler who can match the early game skirmish. Maybe that early game, or maybe the early pick J4. That would be a really good skirmisher who could help hopefully match the Viego. The Nocturne could be a good one if they want to go for that scaling comp. Maybe say let Viego run through whatever we want to do. Nocturne just farm up till 6, and then we're gonna look for those picks. And maybe I think if they're gonna pick the Tristana, don't pick it after the Zeri. At least that's my
Also,
opinion, because one of the strengths of Tristana in a draft like this is that it's a flex pick. You can play it either in the mid or the bot lane. Sure, most people are going to see it and assume that it's a mid lane, but you can still flex it to bot side. But they already had picked the Zeri Nautilus, so the Tristana wasn't. There was no question of where it was going, basically.
okay, so RAWR is staying red side. One additional thing I want to say, it's the nuclear option. If you don't want to change your jungler to a more aggressive jungler, you could always put SGM on Ornn duty. It is unfortunate because SGM showed that he had playability throughout the entire time, so I don't think it's the worst to pick something like you said, a Jarvan, and try to get, even if somehow the top lane is that lopsided once again, you could still get a jungle top lane pressure to make that play work where it just quite didn't work in the 1v1. But you saw later in the game, whenever they gave up the third dragon, they had brought up Lilia, and they just were not able to get anything going onto the Aatrox. He was very aware of what was happening and just didn't even care. It's not like he backed off and recalled. Fury literally just sat there and said, I'm going to push the wave, and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, so and we do know, even you call it the nuclear option, but if you were watching the Arbiter games on Monday, you would know that Ornn can still look for those solo kills top lane.
That's
Ornn
true.
does a
That's true.
very surprising amount of damage, but this is a higher elo game, so maybe it's not as unexpected as I feel, but uh, so let's see. They're gonna use Pro
Oh, I
Draft.
have exciting news. Yeah, we're gonna use Pro Draft again. Production's gonna love that. So draft will
Sure.
look a little bit different than you're used to. We'll still make it work. It's not, you're gonna be able to tell what's going on. It's not gonna look as pretty, unfortunately. Not all the bells and whistles. But we should be getting that in soon for you guys. Don't believe any subs are happening. Should be going straight into it without any lane swaps or anything. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like you just have to change a little bit about the draft and a little bit about the play. I don't know, because again, I feel like every lane came down to one or two moments where, you can say maybe it was a draft diff, but I think, if you're a player, you're just like, come on, coach, put me back on it. I got it this time.
Yeah. So like I said, I liked the Zeri Nautilus in the draft the first time. I do think that you want a little bit more of an aggressive early game jungler than Lilia, like we talked about. And if you're gonna play that scaling comp, like you have the Zeri Nautilus in the bot lane, you got the Tristana in the mid lane, you need an early game jungler to help keep your team in the game.
Well,
Exactly.
it looks like teams are setting up the draft. So the layout is a little bit different. We're gonna see the bands at the bottom of the screen, and then the picks will be up at the top. The timer I think is in the center and stuff. So we'll see what happens there. Curious to see if any champions that didn't get to go through last time come through this time, like maybe a certain spear lady. Maybe I shouldn't mention that.
What?
Anyways.
Okay.
We're gonna
That's
see
fine.
Leona band coming out. Once again, a lot of respect put to the supports. It's the same band they put out first before. Same band for RAWR. Are we gonna see a very similar bands of the draft? Probably. I don't think RAWR can really look at the draft and go, we need to ban something. I mean, maybe you ask for the Aatrox ban, but I think you could take the same three bands and really look to drafts just slightly differently. So we'll see what they do.
Yeah, I'm expecting to see the same three bans from both teams, at least in this first round of bans. And when it comes to the second round of bans, maybe they could ban the Aatrox if they think it was that much of an issue, but maybe you just pick a different matchup into it. It's hard to say, but so far we're seeing
So
the Leona, the Caitlyn, Rel, Diana, first 4 bans
do you
looking like the
just
same from last game.
run back the Kaisa verse pick? I mean, it's
I
clear that RAWR did not have an answer to it last time. There's a
Mm.
chance that they could come up with something different, or maybe they just don't let Kane do that hero play at level 3 that I'm going to keep mentioning, Nidalee. Unfortunately, banned again. Just not
I
going to
do
see it
think they'd
today. I'm
run back the
sorry.
Kaisa first pick. I do think they'd run back the Kaisa first pick. It seemed to work really well for them. I like to say it was a comfort champion for Bongo, but let's be honest, the bot lane wasn't really the focus of that game. It was really more on the Viego and the Aatrox, so we'll have to see. I don't see any reason not to first pick the... Oh, and the Viego ban. We do get one different ban in this game. And yep, there is the Kaisa first pick. I imagine they're going to lock it in any moment now.
I respect it. RAWR definitely had a ban to drop there. They had banned Ezreal last time, but whenever NLE showed that they can just play Kaisa blind anyways, unless you have a different answer to it, you might as well ban the Viego. I doubt they're going to be like, oh, Ezreal's up, let's switch it up. Because Bongo definitely did perform on that Kaisa.
Yeah, Bongo definitely had a good game on the Kaisa, and it looks like they might. Are they just going to be running it back for these first 3 picks? We see the Zeri. Are they going to lock it in? Oh, and the Ashe instead. Now I'm wondering, will they pair that Ashe with the Braum? Maybe take that away from Kane. It seemed like he was a good champion for him. Maybe say, hey, we know you can play Braum. Maybe we'll take the Braum away from you and see what you have to answer that. So let's see what happens here. I do love the Ashe Braum bot lane. It is a very strong duo lane. And yeah, I'd love to see it. Nope, it looks like it's just Ashe Nautilus. So they're changing up the 80 carry picks, but they're keeping the same support. So
Yeah, but one thing that's good into Ashe Arrow, Brahmi. So very
yeah.
much just allowing NLE to pick the same thing. Though the jungler has to be different. Last time they blind picked the jungler here, they're picking Jax here, which is a flex potentially. If they do pick it up.
We can
And
definitely see that Jax in the top lane or the jungle. So let's see if they lock it in here.
I do like the Jax. It fills a similar role to the Viego. It's a little bit more insurance for the late game rather than the early game pressure. But the ability to flex it as well means the bans are a lot tougher. So what will RAWR take to answer this? I think the Tristana pick is fine here, but you might want to pick up different bans. And again, you're going to get your AP junglers and top laners banned if you do that.
I feel like maybe they should just pick their, like, you already see NLE's jungler, maybe just pick up the jungle. I guess you can't really, you don't know if it's jungle. And yeah, they're just going to match jungle for jungle here with the Vi, which I
Yeah,
like.
I
The Vi
appreciate
is
it.
a much stronger early game jungler than the Lilia here. Vi has a lot of ganking and skirmishing potential compared to, well, Jax. Jax may not be the strongest in lane, but in the early game, but in a 1v1, Jax will shred anybody on this team right now.
I appreciate it because it does also mean that if Braum E isn't up or isn't around, you can't get the Ashe Arrow into the pick. I mean, there's so much pick potential here that wasn't necessarily available last time. They tried it with the Lilia ult, but they could never get it on more than one person. This time, if your jungler ult goes only on one person, it's kind of what it's designed to do. So, especially with the Ashe, it might end up working better. The Tristana ban comes out, which I think is correct, especially after the Lissandra ban. It was clear that NLE picked Lissandra as a counter pick, so if you're banning that, you're probably trying to pick something similar again. Both solo lanes from last time are banned by RAWR. So what is your last ban here? Do you think that they're going to pull out the AD mid again? Or do you try to just ban out Casamante so that way you can't get counterpicked again with it whenever you're not on the Aatrox?
I think it is the Cassante ban here. That's my prediction, but we'll have to see. And it's actually Ari. So
I
I can
appreciate the
see
Ari
that.
ban because
Yeah,
you
Ari's
know
very
that RAWR
strong right
has to
now.
RAWR has to blind pick one of their solo lanes. Ari is one of the safest blind picks. Shen, however, a bit of a different story. I do like it in the team comp that RAWR has come up with, but I do think it is a bit vulnerable to NLE's last 2 picks should RAWR lock it in. So I'm curious if they will decide to just say, hey, we're absolutely going to press R all the time. Nope. Looks like they're switching to Leah. Another blind pickable champion, not quite as safe as Ari, but definitely something NLE will be able to answer with these 2 picks at some fashion.
And yeah, I do like the Talia ult here. It really, or the Talia pick, it really adds to this pick comp that RAR is drafting. You now have the Ashe era, you have the Vi ult, and then Talia is just going to come ulting in if anyone's ever alone. So I do really like this. And that's looking like an Ezreal mid in response to that Talia. I don't
It
know
could be
that
Ezreal
matchup very
mid.
well.
Let me check something because I didn't quite. I do think that the Ezreal ban then at that point might have actually been towards Piglet. Does look like Piglet has played it quite a bit. So I could see that with the Kaisa, they've already got some magic damage. I think they want to ensure with a little bit more magic damage. I mean, Ezreal Kaisa jacks you a little bit, and Nasus blind pick
Mm.
means that NLE is feeling confident because I don't think this is the draft you do going in if
We're getting words that
oh
Noxus is actually a Cassante.
okay. That makes a bit more sense. I
Yeah.
can appreciate. So it's not a Nasus, unfortunately, on your screen. That is a lie. No one let the dogs out. It's just a Cassante, and it looks like we're getting multiple 80 carries and solo lanes. Because that is a Vayne pick, and unless it's Nautilus top Ashe support, I think we're going to see some spicy solo lanes.
Yeah, that is an interesting pick with the Vayne. I know it seems to be strong in solo queue because Vayne is a really strong 1v1 champion, but you gotta remember they also have a Jax in this game. And this is not solo queue. This is a competitive game. That Jax is gonna jump on top of that Vayne. He'll use his counter strike. You won't be able to auto attack him. It is against a Cassante melee matchup. They could probably bully them out, but if Jax ever looks for that 2v2 skirmish and the Vi's not there, if she's looking for a pick with the Ashe Nautilus, I feel like the Vayne might struggle a little bit in here. Like, you can't just think about the 1v1 matchup here. You also have to think about the 2v2, and Jax just against a Vayne is going to make a Vayne kind of cry.
I do
Yes, they can
appreciate
condemn them away, but
that SGM played last game and felt like horrible the entire time. So it was like, all right, coach, give me Vayne. We're gonna run it back. This time it will not be me crying tears as I'm not able to do anything top lane. We'll get confirmation in what lane everything is going, especially for that Kaisa Ezreal. I do believe it's going to be Ezreal mid, but we will confirm that soon.
I mean,
And
hey,
again,
it could be Cassante mid and Ezreal top, or bring back the season 7 Ezreal jungle, get that Spirit of the Elder Lizard here, send Jax mid. Could be. You never know.
now with RAR's team, there's not that much armor stacking going to be going on. Nautilus can certainly get some, Vi can certainly get some, but it's not like your Vayne's going to be that tanky. So I think NLE's fine with their damage composition. It's definitely something that you look at and go, maybe this game should be over within 30 minutes or else that armor's going to get real annoying. Team fights are looking kind of interesting too. It's kind of hard to evaluate because I keep thinking the Nasus is a Nasus, but it's actually a Cassante in hiding. But still, just the idea of all these squishy RAR players coming into the double 80 carry matchup of NLE and just Cassante having the run of it, you know? Cassante really was held down by the Aatrox, but if he doesn't get shut down by Vayne from SGM this game, he's gonna have a much more fun time in team fights. For sure. It does look like it's the Vayne top, so that is for sure confirmed. Jax jungle, and it will be Piglet playing one mid laner, locking in the Ezreal. So it will be Kaisa Braum bot lane once again, and it's going to be Ezreal versus Talia, which I kind of appreciate for Ezreal. I think Ezreal does struggle to punish some of the more magey matchups sometimes, but Talia will probably be a more even matchup for him. And he
One
can
thing you'll
still
have
be
to remember though, Talia has a lot more wave clear than Ezreal. Ezreal's wave clear at the start of the game is kind of really bad, kind of trash.
Yeah.
So Talia's always going to have that push and the priority if the Vi is ever looking for skirmishes in the top side or the bot side. And Talia's ult is amazing for roaming to the sidelines. So
Absolutely.
maybe we'll be seeing Talia pushing towards 6, maybe ganking top lane or bot lane with Vi. I'd imagine it'd be bot lane because the bot lane has a lot of setup between the Ashe and the Nautilus, and the top lane, Vayne versus Cassante, you kind of want to keep that Vayne in an island and just let her bully out the Cassante. So I imagine we're going to be seeing the Talia using her ulti to go bot lane, probably set up some dives with the Ashe and Nautilus ulti onto that Kaisa Braum. But we will have to see. Because Ashe is, I'd say she's a safe laner, but when you got a Nautilus, it's not that different from last game. You got an Ashe
Right.
this time instead of a Zeri, but it's not that much of a different matchup. It's gonna be a really scrappy matchup. It's hard to say who I'd give the early game to in this bot lane, because the Nautilus is very strong. Ashe has a lot of CC to pair with him, but the ROM is just so strong early game, and when you pair him with that Kaisa, I feel like there is a lot of potential on both sides. Either like I feel like the 2v2s in the bot lane can go either way. Just looking at the drafts.
Well, there's one surefire way to tell what happens early game, and that's by watching it, which we will do after a quick break. We will see you back on the Rift for game 2.
I'm gonna get back when I feel like. Don't give me this. You know I don't play right. I'll put up a good fight. Just give me the word. You know I don't play right. You know I don't play right. Don't give me this. I'm gonna get back when I feel like. You know I don't play right. Just give me the word. You know I don't play right. Don't give me this. I'm gonna get back when I feel like.
Welcome back to the Rift for Game 2. Actually, this time for Game 2 of NLE versus RAWR. Looks like the stacks are going in both directions this time, but on the opposite sides of the map. I do appreciate that keeping track of the jungler may help the lanes for both teams, however. They're both face checking, they're both holding their breath, like where are they? Where are they? Not at all close to here. But you know, they're really checking. Oh, it's a double ward. I'm just gonna check that for myself. I think that's 2 wards, like on the same exact spot, but 2 wards
Yeah.
do come out. You can see the cooldowns for the jungler and the support. Meanwhile, up here, complete domination of the bushes. Maybe a face check actually. RSG. Oh, Kane is going to wait until now. 2 stacks, 3 stacks, 4 stacks, stunned. Not even. Oh, just got the flash out. So it will just be a flash, and it is on Fedora. Who, again, you said that Fedora should be able to get some priority over Piglet. It's a lot harder to do that whenever your flash is down and you're against someone with CC like Jax in the jungle. Oh, we see this again? Is it gonna
Yeah, why not?
be the same thing? I mean, this time, Kaisa and Braum are really far behind. They will have to come in late. Curious to see how long the cheese lasts. You can see Braum is actually so late that he's coming down to the red buff that's already spawned to make sure it's not being taken. And Nautilus is just sitting in a bush.
Yeah, I mean, it might lose. Well, we see. Does anything
I
die?
also wanted to look at the opposite side of the map. Sorry, I totally missed this. Emrys is actually taking the red on the opposite side of the map. Hook comes out a little bit awkwardly. They still get a nice trade, but I'm not entirely sure if Spear Queen is aware that the map is being split, and that's always the worst case scenario as a jungler. They do see the red buff is up, so maybe you take the 50-50. But if they're not aware, it's bad for Spear Queen, and it's really bad for SGM. Level 2 does come out, Hook comes out, Bone Pleading down. Kane is so slow, does not have the W, will get chunked out, and I'm not sure they can pull off a hero play for 2 times in a row. That trade goes even better than last time. And they've got a huge health advantage. Jax is retreating back to his own jungle, doesn't go for the top lane gank, doesn't even get the Raptors. But I believe Spear Queen is just going to face check into Sadness. No, Spear Queen is aware. And is invading.
There is that ward behind or by the red buffs. They did see Jax rotating up towards the Raptors. They are aware that Jax started in their side of the jungle. Maybe if they didn't have that ward, we wouldn't see the Vi invading. You got to imagine Vi versus Jax. You don't want to find a Jax in his own jungle early game. Jax is one of the best 1v1 champions in the game, and Jax might just be finding the Vi here in his own jungle.
Yeah, so Ezreal's not going to be able to do much whenever he rotates. Nautilus is coming and Braum is coming. I don't think Ezreal comes in with that much damage, though. So Vi will just walk away, but it's still down a few camps. They're up now, right? But less camps spawned. Here comes Ezreal. Maybe I was wrong whenever you just get a Jax jump on. Hook comes in so that way Spear Queen can live for now. Flash in for Emrys, though. First blood. Jax even gets the jump away as well. And I don't think they're going to turn for this 4v2. Talia just has to walk back. Looks like that maybe mid lane lost some minions for it, but Jax getting first blood. It's going to be a huge advantage for NLE.
We talked about this. Talia would have prio here, but like you were saying, that level 1 blowing to Talia's flash, getting back to lane a little bit later than the Ezreal just means that she couldn't get to that rotation in time, and the Ezreal just picking up, I don't think the Ezreal, Jax picked up the first blood, but that Ezreal rotation there was just huge on the side of NLE. They recognized that Vi was in their own jungle and recognized that they could chase her down, and like I said, Jax is one of the strongest 1v1 champions in the game. You never want to find that Jax by himself if you're by yourself. And Jax just does so much damage with the counter strike and jump. It's really hard to play that a little bit. And
Okay, well, top lane, not looking fun. Poor Fury. I don't think Leon is that guy. Kane was able to freeze in this location, but the bot lane of NLE stays. They do get the freeze off, but look at Leona's health. I don't think that the Nautilus is staying around for long. Might stick it out just because there's not much die potential from a Braum Kaisa at this level. But definitely paid for that with a bunch of health and doesn't get quite the freeze off that they wanted. Kaisa just stays a little bit longer and gets the crash off on the next wave. Oh, yeah. Triple Q. Baiting it. Ooh. Gets the E off. Gets the triple shot off too for fun.
You'll see that the Vayne is out of mana up here, though. So if that Fury is looking for maybe a little bit of an aggressive all-in onto the Vayne, now might be a time,
Emrys is looking
but
for the lane gank. Emrys is looking for a lane gank while Spear Queen is recalling. I don't think SGM is aware because he is going for an aggressive trade. No condemn mana. I think the stun doesn't quite come in. The ghost comes out. and Emery spends time for SGM's Ghost. I'm not sure how impactful that's going to be, though. And now Emery's, even though he had a lead, is going to be down a lot of tempo for that play.
Mm-hmm. You see,
Oh, actually, stops the recall. Maybe deciding, you know what, I'm already down tempo, I might as well... Oh, wait. Recall started again. The Fury is going in. Is the recall going to cancel again? The ult comes out from Fury. Recall is still coming through for Jax, though. So they just get the flash from SGM. And Fury says, you know what, just finish your recall, bro. I got this myself.
and you got to remember, SJM didn't take the TP in this matchup, so Casante's probably just going to crash it here, and this Vayne's going to lose quite a bit of CS under tower while she walks back to lane. Definitely not going to feel great.
She gets boots too, and Fury has to push in an entire wave, especially that cannon, so I don't think she's actually going to lose that much, but I'm not sure if she would have gone boots too otherwise. You can see that the minions are coming in just now, might lose 2-3 minions. I can't quite tell from minimap walking, to be honest. But yeah, she'll get XP at least.
Yeah.
Oh, the hook comes in! Good. The items are a little bit awkward. It's boots too for Ashe, and the ult in means that Kai'Sa has to flash. Kayn doesn't have a W, though, has to flash over as well. W's now, but gets stunned for it. That's going to be a kill. And also, Nautilus is coming in under tower. Does not care. Bongo will go down as well. And the 4-man play means they lose Grubs, but absolutely get everything they wanted bot lane.
And that's what we talked about in the pregame, right? That Talia hits 6 early as she can in the mid lane, and then using that ult to set up dives and rotate bot lane with the Vi. That was a beautifully well played fight there from RAWR, and they are rewarded with the Drake.
Now, Emery's is able to use the tempo. Yeah, Emery's is able to use the tempo to get the red side of the top lane, and this does mean SGM has to be aware that there's a jungler behind him. No flash, no ghost. I think this is actually pretty dangerous for SGM. If he doesn't get the crash off here, this wave is definitely the turning point. Emery's is still taking the Krugs. I would be spam pinging if I was Fury, but I'm not sure they want to go for it. Spear Queen also is coming. I'm not sure if he's aware that he's face checking into a Jax. Looks like he's going to find out the camp is gone now, and that means you back ping your top lane like crazy. There goes the ward. But he's still being aggressive, even though they knew Jax was on that side. Here comes the all-in. I don't think that this is going to work out for SGM. The ultimate comes out, the condemn comes out, but there's just too much. Visible for a little bit, but flash in from Emery's means another kill for the Jax.
Yeah. And you're saying Emery's is doing basically the same thing he did last time. He's getting that early lead on his junglers. He picked the Jax jungle. He's got the tempo lead on the
number Ashe 6 versus Kai'Sa 6. I think this might be dangerous. There's no E for the Kai'Sa arrow, or the Ashe arrow, sorry. And also, now Kai'Sa could be traded on as well. Here comes the ultimate. Kayn could just watch as his AD carry gets bopped around, flash in to make sure that Ashe gets it. And Kayn just has to walk away.
Mm-hmm. That is unfortunate there. It's like what we were talking about, the Ashe Nautilus today is a very strong lane in this bot lane. And the Kai'Sa didn't have her cleanse up. She did have the ulti, but she kind of used it more aggressively there instead of trying to use it to kite away like she was doing last game. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe a little bit of miscommunication between Bongo and Kayn, because it almost seemed like, well, no, I guess Bongo got hooked. But I was going to say, it seemed like Bongo was the one who started that play off.
Kayn went in aggressively, and Macro Beast hit 6 off of that minion, I believe. I'd have to look at a replay, but I believe Kayn went in, Ashe hit 6, and they were like, oh crap, and they just weren't able to disengage properly with Bongo trying to cover Kayn's escape, and Kayn did escape, but then Bongo was left in a vulnerable position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it almost seemed like from that Kai'Sa ultimate, Bongo thought that the Ashe ult was already down.
Mm-hmm.
He thought maybe that it was burned on the Kayn earlier, but yeah, it's maybe a little bit of miscommunication, a little bit of mistiming, I guess, maybe between the two bot lanes, and yeah, just Bongo goes down. You got a Kai'Sa that's now 0-2 against this Ashe Nautilus. Okay,
so these Emery's Jax ganks have been effective on the Vayne, but not for Fury. We got the summoners early, yes, and Fury got an assist, but not a kill. Here comes the all-in now, but Nautilus is actually roaming. If he's here in time, this is huge. This is the moment whenever Fury's supposed to be punishing Vayne for not having sums, but Nautilus shows up and saves the day. Even gets 6 here, goes for it, maybe Fury comes in. The unstoppable means that Fury can still get the solo kill, but will absolutely pay for it with his life, and the wave will be crashed surely afterwards. They give it over to the Vi. Eventually, they're going to root, and then, bot lane, however, because Nautilus is gone, that's going to be a completely easy 3v1 dive on the bot lane, executed immediately. Now, Dragon isn't up, but Grubs are, so this will lead to an objective advantage for RAWR Street Logic, but that Ashe was really ahead in lane, and now it is equalized.
And you do have to note that Fury does have his teleport up, so he will get back into the lane, but you saw the Ezreal's TPing up top, so Fury's just going to TP mid. And I think, actually, NLE might try to contest these grubs.
Yeah, but the
See if they
Vayne
can
is
maybe
still
pick
strong.
one.
It's true that she has 2 deaths, but she's got CS. I think she'll be fine just to come in. Emrys doesn't even get the steal off. And now with the knockaway, yes, Tilly has to flash, but Nautilus is here to protect. Ezreal no E, so I think they just walk away. All 3 grubs of that spawn did go over to RAWR Street Logic, but they did have to use some sums, including the Talia flash.
We will not be seeing any of those Void Mites this game, I guess. As much as we love
Kaisa ult
seeing
is
them,
up.
they're adorable.
Yeah, Kaisa ult is up. Meanwhile, SGM again getting flanked on by the jungler, has to flash. And that is the second flash off cooldown from the Jax ganks.
Yeah. Vayne, like you said, she does have the CS, but it feels like Vayne's not having the most fun time now. She's getting
I mean,
a
there's
bit
an argument.
camped by their jungle. By
Yeah.
Emrys.
There is an argument that you're drawing Emrys all the way top lane. Emrys started top side, split the map top side, has taken Vi's red buff 2 times. But this does mean that the first dragon went over to RAWR Street Logic, and Vayne isn't like too worse off for wear. Jax is snowballing off of it. But maybe there's an argument that your bot lane and mid lane are doing well solely because of that. Meanwhile, SGM now caught by a different ganker. It's actually Piglet coming back to his own lane. However, SGM is able to walk away.
You saw there, the SGM actually dove forward. She used the tumble aggressively.
Oh,
there
the
towards
Fox Lord not
cross
able to
button.
quite hit, but the knock up onto Bongo, finally able to ult out. The Jax gets stuns on 2. Vi is not able to do anything anymore. The wall is beautifully splitting the team, but it doesn't really matter whenever you don't have the follow-up. Nautilus is running for his life, gets ulted by Cassante, and Vayne just has to say, hey, I'm not there, bro, and go back top lane while his team loses Dragon. Oh, the arrow coming in. They might want to fight anyways. It goes on the support. The stun comes out beautifully on Emrys, but he also gets a beautiful stun. Will go down, but they get the trade because of that flash stun. Still, a beautiful 1-for-1 whenever they had a numbers disadvantage and had Vayne coming back top lane, and it means they're not even willing to go for the dragon. They are going to get plates bot lane, maybe even go for a dive. But Spear Queen is here. Not quite landing anything, though. The stun comes out, but Nautilus is, again, also here. So it just means plates going down. I believe Jax is coming for the re-attempt on the dragon. This entire time, Vayne did get a wave in, but Fury is coming to match it. If Nautilus knows, that would be a really funny hook. They know. Kayn walks away. Recall finishes from Jax. Hooks out. Okay.
And you see, actually, the Jax is pathing towards top lane, so it looks like he's going to continue trying to bully out that Vayne and maybe look for the Rift Herald here. But yeah, it was a good heads-up play from RAWR to know that they could turn onto, who did they kill? I think it was the Braum that they killed, right? In that fight? Yeah, so it was a good heads.
You lost it. I heard he'll move on to the next play, but I think it was Braum at that point.
I believe so. The Ashe ult onto the Braum is a good heads-up play to know that they can turn around and get that trade kill. But at the end of the day, it was still a fight in favor of NLE, and you have to imagine that the Jax is going to be getting this Rift Herald here. So in the terms of like cross-map plays, they are getting the Drake. They're starting that Drake stacking, but at this stage in the game with the team comps, with these 2 team comps, I would definitely be preferring that Rift Herald.
Okay, Kayn is looking really aggressively here. I don't know if they're willing to give up the Drake that easily. It does go down, but where does Kayn go from here? Has the wall up, but there's an arrow. Goes in, cleanse though, because Kayn flashes to let Kaisa get hit, but you can't cleanse for Braum. That is a really funny stacking of the CC. Now Vi is looking to get out because Jax is Eing in, doesn't be able to get the stun. Nautilus will go down, Jax gets stunned, so there's no follow-up. At the end of the day, it is just the supports going down.
Yeah, but NLE does have the Rift Herald here, so you imagine they're going to crack the first tower mid lane here, get that first tower gold, and Vayne almost got caught out by the Jax there a little bit. And mid tower does not actually fall. I'm surprised that, well, I guess with the Vayne coming in there, they knew the Vayne was coming, so it would be a little bit risky to try and stick around for that mid tier 1. But
Straight up, which side of the rift do you take at this game state? Because I don't know. Yes, you've got a gold lead for blue side and arguably some scaling, but those dragons are scary. Chemtexel's not the best, but they do have 2 dragons, and this Vayne, you know, she's supposed to be dominant at this point in the game. Maybe she's not, but she's still going to be a force in the late game. Not if she gets jumped on, though. Has to walk away, gets to level 11, goes for the ultimate in, and Fury is out of gas, might try for a second attempt. Third Q is really key here. Does it hit? Nothing hits, neither Q from Kayn or from the Cassante, and SGM will walk away. Kaisa could technically RN. I doubt she will with the Vi right there, but this is going to be a stun attempt on Vi. The Blast Plant saves both team members because it's a Chemtech Drake. It's a little worried that the support was going to get left out there. But now the entire side of NLE is up here, and there's not much for them to get.
I mean, they're going to try and
dive.
They're definitely looking for a dive.
Okay, gets this E, but it's too early. Now the stun comes out, Rooted comes out, and SGM will go down. TP's coming in, though, as Fury will, or the jungler will go down. I believe that might have been a lot of gold over, and now Kayn has no way out, and even Fury gets hooked in. Unstoppable, knocking up, and Kayn will go down as well. And this is just a complete disaster. They get SGM as they've always wanted. They've loved to kill him, but this time they pay for it with their top jungle and support.
Yeah, maybe not the best dive out of there, but you're seeing on NLE's side, they are trading those 3 kills for 2 towers. So they did crack open the inner tower or the outer tower, mid and bot lane. RAWR's trying to respawn mid lane, but there's still a lot of health on that tower. They might be able to get it on this wave. It's hard to say. Ashe doesn't take towers super quick, but a static shift proc might be able to just clear the wave enough. And it does fall.
I think they just walk away now. It also gets top lane, so at the end of the day, it's 2 towers for 2 towers. And the kills absolutely went RAWR's way. I think they've definitely bought their ticket to my favorite to win this game. They are in a slight lead.
I mean, NLE still has the gold advantage, but only about 1,500 gold, so it's not a huge gold advantage. You'll see in top lane, the one I was talking about
They
last
just want to
time,
kill SGM again! This would be a fourth step, but this time he beautifully times the E. Has to flash away. Third flash. I think his flash has been off cooldown for about 30 seconds this game. Just unfortunately, so much CC he's had to dodge.
Yeah. And you asked me earlier which side of the rift I would take. I personally, it's not just because you say RAWR is your favorite to win right now, but I do still think that NLE's comp has the tools to deal with RAWR, even if they start to scale. Like, yes, you do have that Vayne, but the Jax can, if she's ever tried to auto attack the Jax, like Vayne kind of can't do anything to that Jax when his counter strike is up. All of Vayne's damage comes from those auto attacks, and Jax can just hit E and say, "Sorry, you can't touch me now. You don't do any damage." So
Emery is definitely the one to watch in team fights. At the same time, I'm a little bit worried about how NLE has played these fights, where it's generally been started with an Ashe arrow or them overextending, and it doesn't matter. Because Jax can't save the E for the 80 carries because everyone's dying all the time. Whether it be RAWR dying or NLE dying, the fights are quick and a little hard for you to set up that nice, tidy fight where Jax gets to stun the 80 carries.
Mm-hmm. And like I mentioned, RAWR's comp is definitely more of a pick comp, so I doubt we're ever going to see them really looking for a 5v5 team fight. Like, that top lane one was like a 4v2, basically 4v3.
Well, they're grouping up for one right now. Bongo walking away from that ward. Kayn again having to be caught out here. Cannot W on that E. Goes down, and now yes, Jax is able to eat all the damage, but it doesn't matter for how long. But the Vayne E misses. But the Vi comes in to solve the mistake. And it doesn't matter if you can Jax E all the autos, it eventually wears off. And unfortunately, it was just Kayn caught out a little bit, thinking he could W to safety. You can't do that until you E.
And like I said, not a 5v5 team fight in that one. That was a pick, actually. Not necessarily an Ashe arrow to start it, but it's definitely a heads-up play from RAWR looking for a pick before that Drake and just catching them kind of with their pants down almost. They caught out Emirates and Piglet, I think. I forget exactly who got caught out first. I think Jax was kind of face-checking into their jungle and found a Vi and a Nautilus. And there's a lot of CC from the side of this one. Have you noticed Fury, the one who has kind of the biggest gold lead in the game right now? Like, gold's dead even, and Fury actually has a 600 gold lead over
That's
SJM
interesting.
right
I
now.
would not have called that. I guess the kills do mean a lot. At the same
Mhm.
time, Vayne's not doing poorly for herself. Same level as Cassante. Just got out Ezreal teleport, which is really nice whenever Baron's in play. And we'll go to match the Cassante.
Yeah. And like I was saying though, that like they had a 1,500 gold lead. It's basically dead even now, but that most of that gold lead was on the top laner who was not at that Drake fight. So kind
Oh, they're
of
trying to push into Spear Queen's jungle, but Vi's just queuing over a wall. Not at all worried.
hard to catch out that buy. But yeah, if like most of that gold lead was on Fury there, and he was not at that Drake, so it was really good heads up play from RAWR to recognize, hey, Fury's not here. He's probably the strongest player on their team right now, outside of maybe the Jack. Difficult argument to make, but yeah, it was a good look for them to know, hey, Fury's not here. His TP, I believe, was down for that fight, so is it good for them? Good for them to be looking for that fight around Drake, and they were rewarded with their third Drake, putting them at soul point.
Now, it is a question of how these solo lanes match up. I think Talia is going to be fine against Ezreal. I think Vayne's going to be fine into Cassante. But the real ones to watch are going to be Emrys and Spear Queen. They're the ones that turn the tide of those 1v1s, making them 2v1s. Looks like making sure vision is clear around the Baron. Don't want to get a snuck Baron on you. That'd be embarrassing. And
yes, it
solo
would.
lanes go back to solo laning.
Yep. Definitely Ezreal versus Talia. We'll have to see if Ezreal can get some poke out, maybe, but the Talia has the wave clear. I doubt Ezreal's ever going to be able to get the lane really pushed under tower. And Fury will also have to see, because he does have that gold lead on Vayne. He has 2 items completed. Vayne's still working on the components of her second item, so if SJ or if Fury is able to get that all in, get the CC onto the Vayne, it could go in his favor, but it's really hard to say at this stage. Because Vayne is kind of the god of 1v1s. Vayne and Jax are the two. And we're seeing both of them in this game. On opposite ends of the map, though.
Okay, so as
Opposite
I
sides of the
shouted
grid.
out, Emrys is looking to make a 2v1 in the top lane, but actually a lot of people are moving towards this. If I would be a bit late, Ashe and Nautilus spotted out. They see that they're spotted out. Don't want to go for that hook, buddy. But they do want to go for the arrow. Low cooldown, no biggie. Just walk away.
Yeah. Looked like a fight was brewing, but they're like, alright, that Fury, SJM, you guys have fun. We're going to put you back on an island. We're going to play this dance around mid lane now. You see, the Talia is actually bot lane, almost got that tower. Yeah, it looks like it's going to fall, and that's what we were talking about. The Talia does have that wave clear advantage on the Ezreal, especially early game like this. Well, I guess it's mid game now, but the Talia is always, I imagine, will always have priority in that Ezreal and Soul Lane matchup. He could get some poke down. Ezreal is good at trading. We'll see if he can dodge the abilities. He might be able to outplay it, get a kill on the Talia, but we'll have to see. Ezreal's taking a
at
lot
half
of poke
health?
here.
Yeah. Unfortunately for him, if you don't get the all-in, you're just going to get poked out by the Leandries. And Talia knows that that top lane play went down. That's why she was able to get the tower. And Dragon is spawning in 1 minute. This is really where things are going to pop off. Everything's going to be up. I don't think a single ultimate will be down. No teleports will be down. They're actually starting up the Baron, baiting me out. I had no idea this was coming. I'm not sure if RAWR Street Logic knows either. Vi's on the wrong side of the map. They're just completely setting up for Dragon. It is the perfect time to sneak a Baron. It's already at half health. No one has any idea. Even Ashe is not throwing out an E. They have no clue this is happening. It's going to be Baron for NLE. Now, they have to recall and go directly to Dragon. It's spawning in 30 seconds. They should make it with the Baron improved recall, but they will not have prio in mid or bot. The teleport comes in to get bot, but the arrow comes through. Flash out. E should be coming as well. Not able to get the W. Saving the E, or it was used earlier. I'm not sure. That is a pick. Now they can maybe go for a 5v4, but they're against Baron and they have no Talia ult, no arrow, and no Vayne ult. Here comes Mongo trying to engage for the Raptor. I believe he gets it. This is soul spawning. Talia's recalling because she's at half health, but she has teleport. This is a huge fight. Again, Baron versus 5 people. Emery is going in early. The stun comes through. Here comes Mongo. The hook misses. That is huge. Vayne goes down. Talia is way late with this teleport. Emery's able to come in with half health and be fine. Flashes out. the plant will go away and they will absolutely deny the soul. Think Fury is a little deep, probably will walk away. But that'll be the first dragon after a sneak Baron for NLE. Maybe there's more, gets the knock up, flash out from Talia. But this might be biting off more than they can chew. Ezreal is teleporting in. But is the TP going to do anything other than save his overextending members?
Yeah, and that fight there was actually initiated by Emrys taking the blast cone over the wall to the dragon pit. I was thinking, hey, that might be a little troll. That's a little over aggressive, but he gets on top of the Vayne, gets the stun off before Vayne gets the condemn off into him, and it just let the Kai'Sa ult onto the Vayne, and you saw what happened there. The Vayne kind of just blew up. And ooh, that's an Ash arrow.
Oh, arrow comes in. No flash for Ezreal. Nautilus is coming in, getting the root. Gonna wait for the E out. There it is, but it's too late. Bongo has the flash, has no ultimate. Is able to walk really fast though. I believe that Bongo is out. No, the blast plate from Camtech is just so big. Trying to dodge the hook doesn't get there. Kane says, nah, bro, you're dead. Vayne, however, says you went too deep. That's a stun. I think the damage reduction is over. Cannot get the stun off himself. Needs a buddy there to auto attack. So SGM will also get a kill. The Barons are falling off. And this gold lead is a little bit bigger than it was before the Baron, but just not quite complete domination.
Mm-hmm. And you saw, though, just a little bit of an overextension there from the mid laner and the bot lane from NLE. Like, they wanted that tier 2 bot, but you have to respect that Ash arrow. Like, there's so much CC on the side of RAWR. Yes, they did get that tier 2 bot lane, but it cost them three deaths and now a tier 2 mid lane. There's a great heads up look on the Drake play, but unfortunately just a little bit of overextension afterwards, and NLE's only left with, I think, 2 Baron buffs. Fury still has his and Emrys still has his, but yeah, it's not exactly what you want to see after having a great Baron sneak like that and a really good Drake fight.
And as you say that, I believe Baron is falling off.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, we're going to return back to the mid game. You know, last time there was like this Baron threat that I didn't think was real. They did sneak it. Now it's dead. So really both teams are just going to go back to side laning. Maybe an Ash arrow coming out. And really waiting for those spawns that you see at the bottom right. The Baron and the Soul.
What's that thing?
Arrow.
Ooh.
Kane does have a W out there. There's no Talia E here, but it doesn't matter. The burst is just too much. And even the Kai'Sa gets bursted out. CC locked in. There's nothing up, so this might just be structural damage, but structural damage is more than enough for RAWR to say that that is worth it.
You do see the Ezreal ult coming out to wave clear, get a little poke. I think they can wave clear this. I don't know if RAWR can get it in his tower here. We'll have to see. They're going to push another wave in. But yeah, just a little bit of an overextension there from the bot lane of NLE. And we see Jax.
Fedora's a little bit caught here. Looks like even though you're a mid laner versus jungle, it doesn't matter if Jax is this far ahead. However, teammates are coming. The E means that there's no damage coming out, and the E ends and he goes down.
And again, a little bit of overextension from the side of NLE. I love that they're looking for these aggressive plays, but RAWR is punishing them for it. Like, yeah, Jax had a good trade onto Fedora there, but he knows the whole team is there in the area. He knows they're going to rotate. Like, it's an over-aggression. And you even kind of see he was almost out. He could have walked out, and then he walked back in, too, in the middle of the 3 people. Like, it's a bit of a tough call there, but definitely over-aggression on the side of NLE. I feel like they think they're more ahead than they are. Or
those spawns I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The spawns that I was talking about are coming up. You can see the Hourglass in the Baron Pit and in the Dragon Pit. This time, not all cooldowns are up. Vialt should be up before it really matters, but there's some flashes on cooldown. There's a teleport, or just a ghost, really, for RAWR Street Logic. I think that Ash Flash will be up by the time it matters. What you really have to watch out for, though, is the arrow and the vision. I don't think that RAWR is going to get punked the same way at the Baron Pit, especially with the spawns being at the same time. They might even be willing to trade Soul for Baron. They are guaranteeing that they have vision control over this Dragon Pit. So they have Ashy this time, so they shouldn't be as surprised by the Baron if it happens. You can see Emrys is in that area. But they're also looking for an Ash Arrow. You can see Leona saying, I have an Ash Arrow behind me. You can't get this Raptor camp. Come on, man. So Emery's at Baron. I think both teams should be aware of what's going on. Emery's trying to bait it, however. They do have a pink ward, but again, Ashy at any time could stop that plan. Looks like both teams are willing to trade. Ashy comes out so they know what's happening. Should be going down at about the same rate. I don't expect either team to go for a steal. Talia is here. Mostly probably to wall them off in case their strike goes a little bit longer.
Go for the
Cheeky
steal. I
attempt. It doesn't happen. So now you're on a clock, right? You got this Baron. It's a lot of gold, but you lose that Baron buff. There's still Chemtech Soul on the enemy team.
Yeah. And I can understand that play there, like Baron.
Oh,
maybe...
Kane caught out again. There's no one to W2. Yes, Fyodor is a little bit scared in case someone else is here, but everyone else is walking in. Empowered Recall coming through. If he does not ward, he might get out. Actually gets out with the bluff that someone else is there.
Yeah. And I do like that trade on the side of NLE. Like, Chemtech Soul may not be, like, it doesn't give a ton of damage. Like, it wouldn't be as valuable as, say, the Infernal Soul or the Hextech Soul. And if you look on the side of NLE, there's not a ton of benefits from the the Chemtech Soul. Like, you got the Nautilus Shield, and that's kind of it. But I do understand Soul. It's always a good win
Emery's
condition.
looking for something. Not going for it though.
Yeah.
Again,
And
this
NLE
is their
just
Baron power
recognizes
play.
Can't fight.
Right. But this is their Baron power play. The longer this goes, the more the Baron wears off, and they're kind of in an awkward situation. This is their power spike. So
They are
curious
trying
see
to
what
look
they
for the
look for.
siege. They do have the siege going. They got multiple lanes pushing with those Baron buff minions, but there is a lot of wave clear on the side of RAWR Esports. Like, it's gonna be hard for them to really look for a play, and there's so much engage power, they can't sit under those towers like they really want to with the Baron buff. Like, the Ash Arrow could come out any second now. Talia is taking a little bit of damage from Fury, but it's not going to be enough to really stop the Talia from wave clearing here. And yeah, it's just they are looking for the siege, but I'm not sure they're going to be able to get any towers off of this.
Baron is about 2/3 up. They haven't been able to get what they wanted off of it unless this push goes with it. I think that's about 3 waves, but the Talia wall comes through. Everyone can get out except for the Ezreal. Actually, Ezreal is over. Braum is just stunned forever, though. Not sure if they even want to extend this fight. I think they're happy with what they got, but SGM wants more. They flash in onto the Cassante. Jax is coming in, but he is one man alone. You can't do that. And he will go down while Fury is able to get out.
Jack's trying to 1v9 over here. I get that he had that early game lead, but really, like you're saying, RAWR is just kind of scaling now. Like, we have reached that 33, 40-minute long game, and the Vayne's going to be doing a lot of single target damage to the front line of NLE. And Jax is looking for that play to try and one-shot the carries, but if he doesn't have a team to follow him up, it's just a 1v9. Like, it's overextension at that point. It was a really good engage from the side of RAWR. Like, the Ash Arrow timed really well with the Talia ulti, blocking off multiple members, splitting off the team, and then Ash Arrow hit Braum, but the Braum just went down so fast, the damage of the Vayne and the Ash. So, this is good. This is good for RAWR. They're showing signs of life after that first game, which was not a close one, and this is a much longer game so far. The first one was like 21 minutes long. We're already at 33, 12 minutes longer than game 1. And this is exactly what RAWR wanted. They wanted to scale. The Ashe is 8-1 right now, being a huge carry for the side of RAWR. The Vayne got shut down early, but now he's got 4 kills. Like, and if we look at the top lane gold, yeah, okay, the Vayne's still 300 gold behind. The Jax, actually, looking at the gold difference on Jax is 2,000, about 1,500 gold up on the buy, which surprises me a little bit. But then you look at the bot side of the map, I'm actually kind of surprised that Kai'Sa's 200 gold up. Like, it's not
but
a
look
huge
at the
difference, of
items,
course.
right? Gold doesn't actually do the damage. What items that translates to is Jax has 2 books over his 3rd item, and Vi has nothing over her 3rd item. And then Ashe, I mean, yes, Kai'Sa's up, but they're both 4 item essentially. I mean, Last Whisper's not quite upgraded. Still going to do mostly the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
The Kai'Sa W's are going to start to hurt, however, and they are investing into the jungle of RAWR Street Logic. But this could turn poorly. SPM ults, they're definitely going for it. Here comes a engage onto Emery's. No E left. Arrow misses, but Vi will not miss, cannot miss. Emery's will go down, and this means there's no protection for the rest of NLE. Shield comes out from Spear Queen, might go down, but the fight has definitely been started. Fury goes down, the pull in onto Kane. Piglet and Bongo have to be careful here, because there's just no front line anymore.
Oh, the
It's
Kai'Sa
just
goes
coming in, but it's 1v3. Zanya's does come out, but Macro Beast on the wrong side of the fight. You can tell the enemy team is right there. Piglet gets the pick. SGM, however, is too powerful. You cannot leave SGM as your last member. You're killing. He will kill your entire team. Flashes in just for the extra 200 gold.
Yeah, and that seemed like just a miscommunication on the part there of Bongo. Like, I could see where he was looking for that aggressive Kai'Sa ult in, but his team wasn't on the same page as him. Like, maybe if Kane was in more like a better position to follow up, they could have gotten the CC with the Kai'Sa autos, the Braum Q. But the way it was just a Kai'Sa ulting in the middle of 3 people. You got SJM there. You still got Talia. They have that CC, and the Kai'Sa jumps in, and you saw her burn the Zhonya's, but she just, after she came out of the Zhonya's, she got bursted down instantly.
Okay, so I don't think they're going to make the trade. They made the trade for the Chemtech Sulfur Baron. I don't think they're going to do the same thing for Elder Dragon. And Reese is in the area this time. No cheeky Baron start. This is going to be a straight up fight for the Elder. Started now by RAWR.
We'll have to see. Emrys is backing off, just using the Kai'Sa W for poke. And
They're going to go for a steal
really
attempt, but the Nautilus R comes out preemptively. A little bit too early, perhaps. He comes in, is in the pit, but is absolutely bursted. So there's no steal available. They can go straight to Baron with that Elder. And their Baron power play, I can tell you, is going to be a lot more powerful than any of NLE's power plays this game.
Oh yeah, 100%. You saw NLE got 2 Baron buffs, and I don't think they even got a single tower with it. They lost 3 of them early, then the second one, RAWR did an amazing job of just buying out the time, defending their towers, clearing the waves with the Baron buff, and on the side of NLE, there's not that much wave clear. So I don't think they're going to be able to protect themselves against the siege that RAWR is going to be able to bring out. And RAWR has so many tools to engage. I imagine they're just going to push down mid lane, hit an Asher on somebody, dive, and try to end the game.
Yeah,
we
Siege is coming in mid. There's still top outer and bot outer to take, by the way. Like, it's definitely looking very... Like, there's a lot of standing gold here, right? They finally got the gold lead for RAWR, but there's plenty more gold to take just from the towers alone.
I imagine they're not going to go bot lane right now. Well, I guess they might send the Talia back to try and push out the bot lane. But, ooh, Ash Arrow on Kai'Sa, cleanses it, runs away.
Yeah, but you cleanse it, you can't cleanse your tower. That thing is stunned forever and goes down.
And Inhib does go down.
Just looking to end the game here. Yes, they don't have Ash Arrow. They don't really need it. They have Elder still. Elder will run out soon, though, and Emery's does make the engage. Goes with the Zhonya's. Fedora is looking to zone out the rest of the team. Emery's is trying to go in by himself. Bongo goes down on the side because Elder's just so strong, it doesn't even matter. Piglet also going to burn down, and boom. It's going to be RAWR. Yeah, RAWR is going to even it up 1-1. We said the draft might not have looked like they were going to make it with the AAA to carry into Jax. Jax did get a lead, but it just didn't matter.
Yep, that is true. It did not matter. Jax was not able.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was really interesting to see that game just from all sides, right? Emery's did snowball, but he had to play around the top side. Even shutting down SGM didn't do much. Like, SGM still did quite a bit of damage, third most in the game, despite all of those early game ganks, right? Started out 0-4, is 8-4 at the end of the game, has much more gold than the top lane Fury, despite the lead for... I mean, the gold lead was lasting through the entire game, which was really funny.
Yeah.
And, yeah. It was really interesting that Emery's got such a lead early, but couldn't quite convert it just because either the team fights, the picks, the macro, just a lot of things just couldn't quite go right for NLE.
Mm-hmm. And I do like the changes that they made, that RAWR made in their draft from game 1. Like, they banned the Viego, and they banned both the solo laners from NLE, and they drafted a lot more of a pick comp. Like, I know we were all kind of doubting on the caster desk at least the double 80 carries into the Jax, but that Ashe just did so much work with her arrows. The Nautilus was hitting his hooks. The Vi follow up after that, it's just they played their comp. I wouldn't say to perfection, but they played their comp extremely well. They knew what they were meant to do with their comp, and they were able to execute. And it almost felt like NLE didn't know what to do against them in a way, at least in the mid to late game. Like they knew, of course, they had to shut down the Vayne, so you saw a lot of what's his name? Can't think of it. Jax. You saw Jax camping top lane. The Vayne was 0-4 at one point, but I think she finished the game like 7-4. So yes, you can shut down that Vayne early, but once she starts getting those kills, once the game gets late enough, she gets those items. It becomes a lot harder to take down that Vayne. Even on that Jax, the Jax jump could be canceled by the Vayne condemn, and Jax just didn't have the tools to really deal with the backline of RAWR in that game.
Okay, so it will be side selection for NLE. They have been blue side all match long, but this is the first time they actually get to choose what they want to do. It looks like they're going red side, so we will swap it up, and that means that the bans are going to swap, at least from just a logistics standpoint. But also, you might consider changing up some bans because those lanes look way different than game one, for sure.
Yes, they did. And yeah, like I was mentioning, the double soul lane bans in the second round definitely made sense on RAWR's side. They seemed like they were not super comfortable in those matchups. You had the Cassante counterpick into Aatrox. I don't know top lane matchups very well, but it did not seem like a fun matchup for the Cassante in that first game. This time, again, didn't seem like a fun matchup for the Cassante, and maybe Cassante is just not a champion to be played in, at least in this match, because so far Cassante has a 0% win rate in this series.
I think it just really depends on what happens in the early game jungle pressure. It was just unfortunate that the Jax that came up there, you wanted him to snowball, but he did take the kill from the Cassante. And so Cassante never really got to the point where he could bully SGM by himself. It was always him with someone else. And maybe that's just how the matchup is supposed to go, but it would have been really nice to see him get a lead with that pressure that was put there, rather than it going on Emrys, who could do nothing in the late game despite having that early game lead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I said, that Jax, it felt like it had the tools to get on top of the back line, but RAWR also had the tools to just stop Jax from diving their front line. They had the Vayne condemn, which was stopping the Jax from just blowing up that Vayne, which is really what you want to be doing in the Jax. Like you said, the E doesn't last forever. There's a cooldown for it. And I'm curious to see now, with NLE taking red side, I want to see how they change up the drafts. They first picked Kai'Sa in the first two games. We don't have the draft link. Yes, NLE red. That's what I'm saying. They first picked the Kai'Sa in the first two games, so I'm curious what they're going to do now on the red side. And I need the draft link. Did they send it to us? They did. I was too busy talking, didn't even notice.
I'm also curious what RAWR first picks. They've been reluctant to first pick champions for matchups, right? They've just been matching for the most part, except for I can't remember. Sorry, 1 second. They brought in the Vi blind last time, kind of into the flex, and the Talia blind they were forced to go into. And last time they picked the Tristana blind. Are they going to choose one of those to go blind on blue side without much knowledge? Here comes the bans.
So let's see what these first bans are going to be. There's the Rel ban. Imagine the first three bans probably won't change too much, unless there's something. Maybe NLE knows something that I don't know that RAWR values as a first pick that they might consider banning out here. But the Rel and Leona, first two bans are the same as the first two games, so we'll have to see. Let's see what changes here. Diana ban. And the Ashe. So NLE actually taking the Ashe away from RAWR. I think it makes a lot of sense. The Ashe was, and the Viego coming out too. The Ashe was really an enabler for that comp. So I think the Ashe is a good ban. And the Braum.
You know what this means? Sphere Queen might
Yeah,
just go for the blind pick that everyone's aware of. Now, first picking Italy is kind of scary. A lot of people like to, groan at it, but if you name yourself after it, surely you just first pick Kai'Sa on the opposite side of the map. I respect it. NLE's not going to pick Nidalee here. Maybe you can see what their draft is like before you commit. But man, it'd be really funny to say Sphere Queen all this time, be like, don't ban Nidalee, and just not get to play it regardless of it being unbanned.
I mean, you gotta imagine, you got a one trick on your team. When you're practicing with the team, you always assume that your one trick is gonna be banned. So they might not have practice on it. They might have been preparing, saying, "Hey, we're gonna pick something else. Like we know you're not gonna get in Italy." And that's what I was saying with the Braum ban. That is a Seraphine in the first round coming out for NLE, which I'd love to see, and a Silas actually. Which I imagine if they lock that in, it'll probably be going to the mid lane, and that's Teemo. Sure, sure. We'll see if that Teemo pick's real. I doubt it. I imagine they'll pick their AD carry here to match with the Seraphine. Maybe it'll be a Misfortune or Nautilus. Is that going to be a Soul Lane Seraphine?
Also,
And that
AD
is a
carries have
Nautilus.
been slightly replaced by mages in the past, especially these
Mhm.
recent patches. I wouldn't be surprised if that was a Seraphine AD carry. Either way, it's a flex now.
It is definitely a
Nautilus
flex.
on the other side of the matchup now, though. It feels like the teams have just completely swapped comps. Except there's a
Yeah,
random
right.
Seraphine. Now, do you
RAWR
pick the
picked the-
Nidalee into the Seraphine Nautilus? I don't know. Alistair makes a lot
Ooh,
of sense.
I love the Alistair pick
Are
with the
they
Kaisa.
going to take it, though? We've been talking about this all series long. Surely they do not disappoint us.
Come on, Spirit Queen. You can do it. We believe in you. And a
No.
Master Yi hover. It could be. It
Oh,
could
the
be.
spear is the Master Yi sword. I get it now. Oh, of course. Of
Yeah,
course.
yeah. Oh, there's the
Shaco.
pick for the
Oh,
one trick.
Shaco one trick. That
Yep,
was
yep.
mentioned earlier. Yep.
We'll have to see. What will they lock in? I don't think it's the Nidalee. Oh, it is the
It
Nidalee.
actually
Okay.
is the Nidalee, not letting it get the bans too. And I don't know if I like Nidalee that much in this matchup, but if you got a one trick, maybe you can make it work in any matchup. Silas also looks kind of awkward with these ultimates, but
I
definitely a
agree. Like, what
powerful
are you
one
gonna
for
do with
sure.
Nidalee? You gonna transform into a cougar if you steal Nidalee's ultimate? Like, what's gonna go on with there?
It is
Kaisa,
picked.
I kind of could be good. You dive on the backline with it, but you need the setup CC. And Alistair, I guess, could be good. You get that damage reduction, but definitely not the best ultimate to be stealing for the Silas. And that, of
The pro-
course, that could also be a Silas jungle. We see it most often in the mid lane, but there's definitely two flex picks here that we're seeing. We have the Seraphine could be going mid or bot, and the Silas could also be going mid or jungle, and even top, honestly. We don't know. So
The
you got a
problem with
lot
these
of
flexes is that you are showing a lot of magic damage, even especially if neither of these going mid lane. It kind of narrows your remaining options, even if you don't know what role they're going into. So they are RAWR's looking to ban Nocturne, so they think it's the Silas mid. But at the same time, if it's not Silas mid, then you have to go one of the few AD mids that have been nerfed recently. And you have to do it potentially blind, unless you're willing to blind pick top lane and leave your flexes up.
yeah. And I don't know. I think for RAWR, I'd like to see just like a magic damage tank. Maybe they'll bring out the Mundo, maybe a Zac in the top lane. Zac's been having a lot of success top lane right now. And you're right, they do have a lot of magic damage from NLE's side right now. So we'll have to see what they end up blind picking. I agree with you. I doubt they're going to blind pick top here. It's probably going to be a blind pick mid. It could be the Tristana if they send the Silas jungle. But I imagine it's probably they actually might pick their top laner here and save the Silas flex. They don't want to reveal where the Silas is going to go just yet.
And again, they could pick a bot laner or top laner. They could even pick Tristana and say that that could go anywhere as well. Wukong probably going jungle, which shows the Silas as going mid lane or top lane again. Could be possible. Orange Duty for SGM after he got a little bit of fun in game 2. Just like, okay, you had your fun. Get back onto Orange Duty. Set
See him
another
swap
interesting one
that'd be
though.
boring. I don't know. I feel like they're going to
Kinda...
swap to a third champion at the last second and juke everyone.
Nope.
And no, just the
Ornn
Ornn lock.
locked in. So Ornn is kind of interesting with Nidalee, Kaisa as well, arguably. Nidalee, of course, playing for that early game, and then Ornn wants to be on the island and scale up to late. It kind of gives you this weird comp phrase where like the enemy team has to pick their lane and say we're the early game comp or the late game comp. I believe that they're not going to want to let the Tristana Ornn Kaisa scale, however, regardless of how bad Nidalee is into the late game. So I think Nidalee has been kind of priced into the early game comp, but they do have to finish out their comp with a top laner. Poppy
And
would be
NLE.
interesting.
Poppy does have that good matchup into the Ornn. You can stop his dash. You can stop, well, you can knock him away, I guess. But Poppy's not a bad laner into the Ornn. And Olaf, actually. And they do lock in the Olaf. So going, I don't even know at this point. Is it Wukong top, Wukong jungle? Is Olaf going top? Is Olaf going jungle? Hell, Silas could be going top. We got an Olaf mid. Or
We
Wukong
will
mid
have to
even.
confirm that for you guys whenever they lock in the champions on the client. This one's going to be an interesting one. We see Spear Queen finally on the titular champion of Nidalee, right? Interesting to see how that goes, right? You name your character, your account after it. Surely we should be a little bit excited, especially with the baits. And then Alistair Kaisa is a very different lane than the lanes they have been playing with the Nautilus 2 games in a row for Leona. Even Kaisa, much different well, I guess Kaisa and Zera, you could argue, are pretty much very similar. Get some all-in potential with the R, try to go off. But I'm just really excited to see Spear Queen's Nidalee.
We'll have to see, because I do like to see Spear Queen's Nidalee, but I don't love the draft around the Nidalee. When you have the Nidalee in the jungle, you want a lot of CC. Like, you want ways to set up Nidalee to make sure she can't miss those spears when she goes in for the ganks. Renekton is a great top laner to pair with it. Ornn, kind of less so. Alistair, maybe with his knockup, could help set it up. And Tristana can't really do anything like that. I guess if you hit the spear first, they both can jump in, but you really want laners who can set up that Nidalee. You can get that CC and make sure Nidalee can't miss her spears. So we'll have to see. We'll have to keep our eyes on Spear Queen, see how they play. It is her one trick. If it is their one trick, hey, could be amazing. Could be not matter. Doesn't matter the team comp. But this is competitive play. It feels like they didn't draft with the Nidalee that much. Like you said, it's a scaling comp outside of the Nidalee. Kaisa Alistair can be very aggressive. Against the Seraphine Nautilus, though, I don't love the synergy between Seraphine and Nautilus. You know? Like, Seraphine has that big team fight ultimate, CCs their entire team, but then Nautilus wants to look for a pick with his hooks and his ultimate, so I don't really like the synergy. And it looks like on the side of NLE, it is an Olaf top and a Wukong jungle, is what we're seeing right now.
That probably means Seraphine bot lane with Nautilus and Silas mid. So the matchups are about what you would expect. Definitely nice to have those flex picks in there, but I'm not sure that they paid off, right? They didn't really bait anything into a bad matchup. Pretty sure Tristana's okay going into Silas. I think Ornn is fine going into Olaf. Maybe you could argue that it's a little uncomfortable, but Ornn's never really that uncomfortable. And then Nidalee is just I don't think there's a single pick you could pick that would stop Spear Queen from going Nidalee in this position. So I don't know if that affected the draft that much.
Yeah, it's a little bit of crazy flex picks, but yeah, like you said, we kind of assumed on red side they've been drafting their bot lane on R1 and R2 for this entire series, so it was a safe guess that from the start that it would be a Seraphine and Nautilus. Yes, it could have gone mid lane. Yes, the Silas could have gone jungle, but yeah, like you're saying, I don't know if the flex picks really paid off. And if you're looking actually on the side, well, I was gonna say RAWR's a little bit AD heavy, but there is that Nidalee. The Nidalee spears will hurt, even going into late game. But she's really gonna have to be looking for those spears on the squishy characters of NLE. And looking at the team comp, there's only one squishy character on the side of NLE. It's just the Seraphine. Everyone else, you got 4 melees on NLE. Unless Nidalee's going to be hitting those max range spears, and I don't know, maybe Silas or Wukong or Olaf don't have any magic resist, maybe it could chunk them. But I feel like Nidalee's going to have a bit of a hard time getting onto the singular backline of NLE with that massive front line that they have in front of her, in front of the Seraphine.
Well, regardless, we're going to have to see how many spears hit and how many don't whenever we get back from a quick break and get into game 3.
Maybe I can convince Soulkeeper to put a spear counter on the side of the screen.
Welcome back to the Rift for the final game of RAWR versus NLE. And we got something exciting gameplay for you guys coming up. 5 points for the non-Nautilus team. Nautilus, however, stacking up as 5. Oh,
Ooh, this could
Fedora
be
gets
spooky.
spotted out. E's coming out, flash in for the hook. Now Emery's has Ignite. First Blood comes out for Piglet. They didn't even use Ignite, just flash for Nautilus for First Blood. And Silas versus Tristana gets a lot easier whenever you get to come back to lane with an extra Dark Seal.
Yeah, that is definitely makes the lane a little bit easier. Definitely could play a bit more aggressive in that lane now that you got the Dark Seal. You'll have that extra sustain, and yeah, we'll see. Tristana's gonna have to play a little bit safer in this lane. Like I was talking about, Tristana, you want to be playing aggressive, jumping on top of people, and it's gonna be a lot harder to do that now. Silas is gonna be able to take those trades more aggressively, and we were talking about it a little bit on the caster desk. We see Emrys does have Ignite on the Wukong this game, so I'm excited to see how he is going to play around that. We do not have Doki on this team. It is not RAWR, even though you see the Ignite on that jungler. It might seem like it, but Seraphine did take the TP, basically what you expect in a mage bot lane. Take that TP so you can just TP back to, or you can get that mana refresh and TP back at full mana. And
yeah, I'm actually curious how the junglers react to this mid lane matchup. With the flash down and you've got NLE versus Wukong, both could definitely put a priority there. Top lane is looking like how all off lanes go. Just bullying for a little bit early. He doesn't care how low he gets into that mini wave. He got his W eventually. And Orange just has to walk away.
yeah, and you got to remember this Olaf is very good at shredding.
Oh, this
tanks,
exits?
so.
Oh, huge.
Olaf is very good into tanks in the top lane, so you got to imagine this it might not feel good for the Ornn. We'll have to see. We'll have to keep track of that top lane. The top lane this entire series has been pretty exciting, actually. Both junglers have been playing around it, and yeah, we'll have to see what happens here. We do have
Wukong's
NLE
crossing
just farming.
over into Spear Queen's jungle, actually. Meanwhile, the top lane pressure is getting to a head. Not even taking a tower shot there. That was really close. But Wukong's just straight up on the blue. At any point, Ornn and Olaf could come. If Olaf's this low, though, I'm not sure how effective he's going to be. Nidalee just doesn't know yet, though. Emery's is just free and clear taking the blue.
Just hitting it. Taking it surprisingly slow.
Okay, Spear comes out. She does know. Comes in, gets the smite, gets the steal. And now Tristana is on the way. Wukong is in a lot of trouble. Emery's, what are you going to do? Gets W on, has the E in. W's out, but the damage is just too much. Falcon gets it, and now they flash in onto Fury. And that's just 2 solo lanes that are in a much worse position now because of Emery's play.
I think to add, we do have a spear counter going. I counted 2 in that skirmish there. 1 onto the Wukong and 1 onto the Olaf. So looking good. That is a really good start for Spear Queen's Nidalee right there. Like Wukong had the Ignite. Like I thought he was gonna look for that trade there, but Nidalee just taking the smite, getting that blue buff, and just being able to chase down the solo laners of NLE. It feels, or not solo laners, but the jungler and top laners of NLE. It feels maybe a bit of over-aggression. Same thing that was happening in game 2.
I was saying Dark Seal was a really good into lane, but Red Buff's really, really good. So even with Wukong coming, Fedora is pretty happy to just sit there, hit the slow, hit the damage. Kaisa gets rooted, actually. This is a huge trade because the CC is coming out. Looks like the minion wave will back him off for now. But the level up is there, and the crash is there for Bongo and Kane. Actually not getting the crash off because Nidalee is here. So they're just waiting in the mini wave. Gets the flash off. Flashes out of the next CC. Rooted stun, but Spear Queen is here. Can Spear Queen go into these 6 minions, though? I don't think so. Has to walk away, and Nautilus is looking for the hook. Level up comes out for all 3 members. It looks like they're just going to go for the crash. Wukong is here, sees the ward, and the 3v3 will end up just for the crash for red side.
I think I did see 1 spear hit there. Wasn't quite a max range
coming
spear,
in
but
with the Hex Flash. Leona's stunned up for quite a bit, but Spear Queen's coming in. Wukong here, exhaust comes out, but Nidalee could just get out even through the exhaust. No damage yet, especially with the exhaust coming out onto Emery's. And the 3v3 continues to just be no kills, a lot of damage coming out. Wait,
and you
more?
see Emrys doesn't want to
Possibly?
leave. Emrys really wants to get this gank off bot side, but you see Nidalee's just farming her jungle. She's already 2 camps up on this Wukong, 1 kill. Like, Wukong feels like he's wasting a little bit of his time there, just making sure
Oh,
his bot lane's
Piglet
safe.
not able to get out, taking a lot of damage there. Even if he lives here, which he will, this cannon wave will fall to Tristana pretty quickly. W's even for the minion damage, not afraid of Wukong because you saw how much tempo Wukong wasted bot lane. And gets the wave in. Piglet's gonna TP, so it's not the worst for him. Just a little scary.
Yeah. Piglet is able to get that TP back into mid lane, and you imagine Fedora's gonna also do the same into mid lane, but he's got a 20 CS lead on this Sylas right now. Like, that Sylas got first blood, but the Tristana answered back with another kill and an assist. So Tristana's got that Vamp Scepter, comes back with Vamp and Boots, looking at just an Aether Wisp from the Sylas. Yes, he does have that Dark Seal, but outside of the 1 health potion, he's not really going to be able to get that extra sustain that an early Dark Seal really grants to you, and one of the things that helps him in this lane so much. I would have liked to see a refillable potion, actually, from Piglet, but maybe he didn't quite have the gold for it. He's only able to buy 1 health potion.
Okay, Fury has to be a little careful because yes, he does have the sustain advantage, but he doesn't have the mana. Ults in, comes in with the ult, doesn't need mana if he's just gonna auto attack him to death SGM, but the tower is here! It's gonna be a trade. And Tristana and Nidalee are here, but it's just too late. All they're gonna get for their trouble is some grubs.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was maybe a little bit of an over-aggressive dive there, but he did know that the
root
Nidalee and
into
the Tristana
stun.
were coming.
Outstar is half health. No counter engage because the minion wave's a little bit too big. So continue what you're saying. Sorry, I thought that was gonna be a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be. It might have been a little bit of an over-aggressive dive, but he did know that the Nidalee and the Tristana were on their way top lane, so he's trying to make the best of that situation. Like, once that Ornn ult comes out, he has to commit to that fight, because with the Nidalee and Tristana coming, if he doesn't look for that, he probably just dies anyway. So, 1-for-1 trade, he doesn't get an assist to either the Nidalee or the Tristana, makes them kind of waste their time. They do get the Void Grubbies for it, so it's not a complete waste of time from the Nidalee and Trist. And now we're seeing like maybe a dive being set up bot lane here.
For sure, there are a lot of members looking. Alistair's gonna have to choose a CC. Well, gets the knock up through the charm, which is good, and it's tanky, but it doesn't really matter because everyone's taking these shots. Macro Beast is just trying to live for these tower shots to do anything. They are ramping up, so Emrys will go down, and Emrys still, Piglet will go down as well, I believe, not quite able to dash to safety. So luckily, Macro Beast was able to stall for an additional kill. Now Fury doesn't have ult yet. It's up soon, but not soon enough. Surely this will be a kill for the gank. Ult is coming up any second now, but I don't think it matters. You don't need to get CC to die here. Doesn't have anywhere to run. Will run in with the ult, and Spear Queen gets the kill.
Yep, and that is... We talked about how Olaf is pretty good early game into that Ornn. But when you play this aggressive and you're against an early aggressive game jungler like Nidalee, you will be getting ganked, and you kind of have to play a little bit safer. Like, Fury's now 1-3, like, not having the best start in this top lane matchup, but Piglet on that Sylas, he's down 30 CS, but he has 3 kills on this Tristana's 1. But Tristana has been getting the tower plates. Right now, the gold lead, about 200 gold in favor of Fedora, but 200 gold stated game isn't that crazy, but it is a 2,000 gold lead in favor of RAWR, actually. I said NLE, almost misspoke, but 2,000 gold lead in favor of RAWR, and it's looking like a great early game start. The Spear Queen's looking fantastic on this Nidalee in the early game so far. But we'll have to see if she's able to transition it into the mid to late game, like how that works. How it goes.
And usually the advice is to wait till the Nidalee falls off, but when the Nidalee falls off, the Tristana, Kai'Sa, and Ornn will surely pick up the slack. So even despite having all these scaling lanes, Spear Queen has been able to find the early game picks, mostly because of that level 3 invade from Emrys, which is just unfortunately not worked out for them, and snowballed into where even the scaling lanes are super ahead. Sylas has 3 kills, however, so maybe Tristana won't scale as well as the Ornn is looking, but the Ornn is looking very nice.
Yeah, this is a great position to be in as the Ornn right now. He's gotten 2 tower plates top lane. Olaf, like I said, this Ornn may be taking like the losing side of some trades because that's just the nature of Olaf. But it's a great position to be in as Ornn. You know you're gonna scale. You're gonna get those Ornn items. You're gonna help your teammates out, and that Nidalee Well, yes, Emrys. No, just look like they're just gonna back off here. And the
Oh, but who's
Ornhorn is
not backing
coming
off is
out.
SGM, getting the ult out of Olaf. Olaf does not want to walk away, though, is going in. And SGM doesn't really have anything without the CC, has to E out. We'll get the ult cooldown, but he might die for it. This might be another trade under tower. Will die, but the flash out means that this time Fury will live. Meanwhile, bot lane, the CC's down for Seraphine. Here comes the ult at least, and if Bongo cannot ult out, or Macrobos cannot ult out, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Just able to ult over the wall, does not die to the Nautilus ult, so Macro Beast will be fine. However, Spliana is still in trouble, 1v3, waiting for Nidalee. Nidalee doesn't want to jump in. But Alistair will be able to walk away. Spear Queen saying, don't come back. And I think they're going to start the dragon off of that, although it's a little hard because your Kai'Sa doesn't have health or ult.
Yeah, I don't think they can start the Drake here. They do have the Tristana in the area. Tristana does help take that take that objective very quickly, especially with the attack speed buff that Nidalee can't give to her. But we'll have to see. They are getting the wave pushed out bot. Ooh, that spear.
Huge
hurt.
spear flash in, gets the flash out, which is worth for sure. And that means that your bot lane's going to be back before their bot lane is. You could use some extra tempo for something here. Spear Queens decides to use it to just recall and go get the topside camps. Meanwhile, Wukong's going to take the grubs.
Yeah, standard Wukong, or the enemy jungler staying a long
Actually,
time bot side. I'm just going to go get those grubbies.
Tristana looking. It's going to be a 2v2 with top lane also looking as well. I don't think Fjordor can stop this, but he can certainly stop Emery's from doing it. Or he can't start it, but he can't stop. Or, never mind. Either way, Fury's going to walk away. Has ultimate soon. Not quite yet, so the slow does come out. No CC yet, though. There's a lot of damage. And I think that might be just one grub for Emery's as they have to walk away. And Fury's looking a lot worse for wear with it with no TP.
Yeah. It's not. Yeah, it's definitely not going to feel good having to walk that Olaf back to lane. Ornn's going to get that pushed out. Probably going to get at least one more tower plate here. And during all that in the top lane, the Kai'Sa is just getting another tower plate bot. But you do see there's 2 tower plates down actually for the bot lane of NLE. They've gotten two tower plates bot lane. So the Seraphine Nautilus doing a bit better than I was expecting. I didn't think that they synergized super well, but that Seraphine ult is coming out crazy, especially when paired with that Wukong ult from the jungle. And you see Nautilus is hovering mid lane right now, but looks like the Tristana is just going to back off, and looks like NLE is going to try and set up for Drake here.
Looks like they're actually just trading red sides. I think Spear Queen wanted the red because she thought that they were going to go dragon, and Emery's thought, wait, if they're going to try to stop us a dragon, maybe we can meet them at the red buff, but there's no Nidalee here. Nidalee already took your red. So I think they'll figure it out and try to go for dragon afterwards. You might as well get both, though. Get the red buff, get the dragon. This is taking a long time, though. Fedora doesn't even have to teleport back. Alistair spots they're not on the dragon, walks away immediately because he knows that they're in the area. But Spear Queen is content to just go blue.
Yeah, Leona might have been trying to look for maybe just to check, confirm, hey, they are taking a red buff right now. They're not on the Drake yet. Well, he put a ward on the Drake, saw they weren't doing it, so he walked over towards the red buff to be like, hey, they are taking your red buff. They knew they're making that heads up play. Don't even come down here. Don't try to take it. Just, you got theirs. It's good enough. And I'm okay, they did get the Drake. Spectator client was on the top lane at that point, but NLE did get the Drake there. So it's 1 Drake and 1 Void Grub to the side of NLE, and then 2 Void Grubs on RAWR's side. But Spear Queen is looking very good on this Nidalee right now. However, the bot side of the map for NLE is also looking really good. You got Silas with 3 kills, getting poked down by the Tristana a bit. Tristana might be able to get first tower.
It's hard to say that they're... Oh, actually Piccolo going in with the E heal, W heal rather. I don't think it's enough though. He has to figure out some way to go out. That's one way to go out. Gets ulted from Fedora and dies.
You know, he was trying to recall a bit faster, you know?
Absolutely.
Just trying to get back to base, but
I don't think he's going to be coming back to a tower. Yeah.
No. Tristana will definitely be able to get first tower here, and you see the Ornn actually, he has Prio in the top lane. He might be able to get the top tower too. No. Just backing off, looking for the grubs. He knows the Nidalee's top side, and Wukong actually catching the mid wave right now. Which means, of course, Spear Queen just going to be able to take the chickens away from Emrys. And yeah, just back to farming. I imagine that RAWR is probably going to set up for that Void Grubs here. They do have the Nidalee in the area. Looks like Ornn might have started earlier than walked away. But Tristana's rotating. Tristana has the prio. I don't think NLE is really going to try to contest this Rift Herald.
It's interesting how much different of a game this is from a jungler's perspective. For game 1 and game 2, Emery's had the lead early the entire time. This is the first time where he doesn't have a lead, and it just shows in the solo lanes. Ornn's so much in a better position. Tristana is completely destroying the Sylas now. Yes, bot lane might be a little bit, more even than before, but top lane and mid lane look a lot better whenever they don't have to deal with Emery's snowballing.
Yes, they definitely do. You can see already, Emrys wasn't really having that same impact he was having early
Okay,
game. in their
dive
last-
coming in. Teleport's going to make sure that they might get a counter kill, but definitely Macro Beast's going to go down. Flashes to death. Fedora maybe looking for Bongo. Gets slowed, though. Is just going to be here for the wave, unfortunately.
And they are utilizing the Seraphine ultimate very
They're
well.
actually
in the
setting up a
bot side.
redive. There's a whole wave here. Tristana not quite able to get it out. They get the Tristana ult. Nautilus ult coming in. Tristana ult's going to be really dangerous, too. They don't even need it. Just give the shutdown over to Wukong.
And that is looking like the first tower for NLE. Not first tower of the game, however, but it is a tower for NLEs. That was a really good 2 dives even. Got 2 kills off of those dives, and see Spear Queen trying to defend her pink ward, but she does push them off of it. I'm surprised. I thought they were going to stick around for it, but those spears, knowing if they hit one of those spears from the range that Nidalee was at, it's going to really chunk out that Nautilus, so I'm kind of surprised, but yeah, makes sense. I thought they would have kept going, get that pink ward out of there, but I don't know. Let's see.
Okay,
Everyone
so
just
the
resetting.
Yeah, Nidalee certainly hasn't fallen off yet. Lich Bane going into that second item, probably Blackfire Torch. Gonna be hurting for quite a while. Not sure if they're gonna really be breathing a sigh of relief anytime soon.
Yeah. And Nidalee is definitely kind of taking over this early game. They have the counterpick Wukong against that Nidalee, but it's not having as much of an impact early game as this Nidalee is. It was a good couple of dives that Wukong was able to set up, pairing with that Seraphine ulti. But like I said, they're playing really. NLE is playing around the Seraphine ulti really well right now.
Oh, Bongo using the CC here, but only on the Alistar. Spear Queen coming in. They use the exhaust. The ultimate will save him for a little bit, but not long. And Kayn walking away isn't going to be able to hook out yet. Has to flash. The flash in from Spear Queen. The hook out. The spear barely misses. Would have been a kill for sure. I don't think you're too upset, but man, that was close. Emery's not looking to go in yet. Sylas is, however, they knock away Emery, so there's no ult coming in. Spear Queen will get flashed on and killed. Now Emery is looking for the follow-up, but Ornn ult comes through. Macro Beast that barely lives. Piglet gets the shutdown, however. Olaf cannot be stopped. There's not enough damage. CC can't affect him. SGM trying to run away. No CC on Olaf, though, and CC plenty for SGM, not even able to get the Nautilus kill. And suddenly NLE gets a lot right there, right before Dragon spawns.
Yeah. That was a good pick onto the Seraphine there. Like, they had the CC on her, they had the Kai'Sa ult to follow up, but they just maybe overextended a little bit. The Nautilus just limping away after that, able to stay alive, get those shields, come back, hit a couple of hooks in the return fight, and this should just be a Drake over to the side of NLE.
It does look like, regardless of if they're going to find the Drake seal or not, they're going to go for a fight afterwards. You're committing the entire team here. They will see the Drake go down. Sylas is actually going in. He wants to zone out, but he's the one that's going to go down. And now the rest of the team has to run away. Now, luckily, there's not much chase. Ornn doesn't have ult here, but Spear Queen, if the spear lands, it does. Comes in for the Seraphine ult. It doesn't really matter. Oh, it does. Goes down completely. And now Emrys is on the back line. Has no ult, though. Will get a kill on Fedora, but Kai'Sa is free hitting. Finally gets knocked up. Will go down, and you only have the tanks left. Ornn and Alistar are not the best people for finishing up a fight. They're trying to get the Seraphine. Huge knock up. Seraphine's living on 1 health. Will go down, but SGM certainly can't get any more kills. Maybe he could get out. Looking for Emrys. I think Emrys will be able to walk away. Kayn will also just sit there and walk away. Tries to bait out, doesn't know that that's not a W. Emrys coming in. The knockup unstoppable. The ult finally comes in from Emrys. I believe Emrys will finally go down. The ult coming in for the Ornn, but not able to get it. And Emrys barely lives the Ornn R.
That was a really well played fight there by Emery's. You saw him standing still there to try and bait the Ornn into thinking that is a clone, and then just that team fight. That Olaf lived for so long. I don't know if you were watching that. I had my eyes on the Olaf for half the time. That healing was insane. He got the Kaisa. He dropped down to about 100 health, and then lived for like another 10 seconds after that, just autoing the front line of RAWR Esports. So. It was a crazy team fight there around that Drake fight for sure. Drake does go in favor of NLE. The Rift Herald just dropped bot lane, not necessarily forward charge, just there, it's going to run out. You got to drop it at some point. I don't know if you can see the chat on stream, but they're talking about SAO right now. Gotta love Sword Art Online, but that's a conversation for a different day. Right now, we got, like I said, NLE is playing. It's really more of a team fight comp. With the Silas, I'd say more the Seraphine and the Wukong, and they are playing really well around the Seraphine and the Wukong ultis. They didn't have the Wukong ulti until the end of that Drake fight when the Ornn really was trying to get a return kill onto Emrys, but ulti, you see it making such a huge impact in these fights. And neither of the 80 carries have cleanse. They have no way to cleanse it. The only person who can cleanse off that ult is Alistar by trading his own ulti. Yeah, that Seraphine ult really just making such a huge impact. And Piglet on the Silas too, just going kind of crazy in these team fights.
And one other thing to mention, the difference between this game and last game is that RAWR, whenever they had their lead, they were able to get the dragons, and they had a bunch of CC into burst for picks. This time, they have Kaisa, which is known for burst, but they just don't have the CC setup that meant that they could get a pick and then get out. The last few times you've seen them get a pick, they've overextended and lost the fight because of it. And they're not stacking dragons at all. Now, they do have much better scaling this time with the Tristana and the Ornn. So you could see them win through that avenue, but they're not going to win the same way they won in game 2.
Yes, you're correct on that. Surprisingly, actually, RAWR it's only about a 500 gold lead. I don't even know why I'm talking about it. It's so close. It's barely even anything. Doesn't really make a difference right now.
Supports find each other. Alistar walking away gets the exhaust off early, which means no exhaust for the Wukong ult later. But Wukong just walks away, happy to take the exhaust. Silas and Ornn are coming up. Ornn, and the spear hits on Bongo, has to flash. But now there's no flash Seraphine. Where's the Seraphine ult going to come through? Macro Beast is just bid. And there's no damage without the Kaisa Spear Queen also just dead. Leona absolutely dead. SGM, I mean, I don't know, man. He's got nowhere to go. Maybe he can pick up some damage on Emery's, but he certainly will also be dead momentarily.
And that the entire fight, Fedora was just chasing off.
Seraphine teleporting out. Gets out.
It's
classic.
Seraphine got caught on the wrong side of the map there. But yeah, Fedora TP'd into that fight and just focused the entire time on Bongo, just keeping Bongo out of that fight. And Fedora really didn't contribute any damage besides that. Like the Kaisa got caught a little bit out of position, got caught with her pants down a little bit. Didn't have, like you said, didn't have the exhaust for the Wukong ulti. The Wukong Kaisa was frontlining in there. Like, let's be honest, Kaisa was in front of her Alistar. That Kaisa was frontlining in that fight, and you see it just got blown up so quickly. And then the Tristana did TP in, but didn't do any damage to the frontline. It was just keeping Bongo out of the fight. Bongo didn't get a chance to ulti, of course, but didn't have to. The Kaisa got destroyed, and after that, there wasn't too much damage.
All the important ults are up for the most part. There's no Nautilus ult yet, but it'll certainly be up before the fight is over. Alistar zoning out a lot. They do have a really good position on this dragon. Alistar able to knock away, and Wukong not really going to be able to come in, right? But still, they can just walk in with Fury. They're starting the dragon. There's going to be a bit of damage coming out. Fury can CC immune, does so, gets onto the back lane. The charm hits absolutely everyone. There's no one that is going to survive this fight. For RAWR, Spear Queen goes down. It's just the tanks once again. SGM will go down quite fast, and only Leona escapes.
Yeah, that's Seraphine ulti going through her entire team and the entire enemy team. That was a crazy Seraphine ulti. I have to say it, like, these Seraphine ultis are carrying NLE's team right now. These Seraphine ultis are insane. Like, I may have talked. You
mentioned the gold lead.
Seraphine.
You talked about the
5,000
goldie, it
or
was
4,000.
500 gold a little bit ago. Now it's 4,000 in the face of NLE, and they're about to extend it with this Baron along with the towers that they get. So the gold lead is swinging in a mighty way for the last 3 minutes. Reset here, and there's just so much gold pouring in that the objective bounties are available as well.
Hmm. But yeah, those Seraphine ultis from Bongo, I really do think are carrying this game right now. She has hit so many beautiful ultis in these fights. Like a 5-man ulti there. Yeah, it's insane. It's crazy. In my head. In
And
my
the thing
mind, at
is,
least.
whenever you've got an early game lead with a scaling comp, the one saving grace that you have if this starts to happen, when your jungle falls off, is that, well, at least you got the dragon so they can't get soul. But they haven't gotten any dragons with their lead that they had. And now they're 5k down and soul is spawning in just 4 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, NLE, or not NLE, RAWR is really going to have to play, well, they're playing on the back foot right now. Like, obviously, NLE has the Baron buff. They're going to be looking to siege multiple lanes. There's still a tier 1 up top lane. Like, Silas, Piglet, maybe not exactly winning that 1v1 versus Ornn. I always say Ornn does a deceptive amount of damage. It's a deceptively large amount of damage.
Oh,
But
Silas
Piglet
going
looks to
in.
trade.
I don't think he can get out easily. Ornn is pretty big. I don't think he gets to do this like Fury gets to do this. Has to flash out. But Ornn still has plenty of chase. E in, W in for the heal. But Ornn doesn't go down easily. There's no one coming. Here comes the Ornn ult from the other side. Will knock him up. E comes in with the flash through. There's still W heal coming in. So SGM is not willing to commit. And it's just a classic top lane fight for nothing.
Yep, just trading flashes and trading ultimates. Like, what can I say? Obviously, Piglet does have that push advantage because he has the Baron buff, but with as low as health he is, I don't think Piglet can stick around to get that tier 1.
Fedora
I think
looking to go
maybe.
a little aggressive with his minions. Not committing though. Fair enough.
Yeah. I think maybe in this matchup
Oh, Piglet using the W heal, but again, he's overestimating how much damage you can do to SGM. Even with Emry's here, I don't know that they want to commit under that 2 health tower. They'll just get the tower. Spear comes in. Emry's still wanting to commit. Nautilus is here as well. And they walk away.
Yeah, oh, another spear hit there, though, onto Emrys. He's half health now, so that's definitely going to dissuade any more sieging in the top lane. You'll see Piglet and Emrys are just backing here. So they did get 1 tower off that that extended play, and I like what they're doing now. They're changing the lane assignments. You want that Silas to be matched up against the Tristana right now. Tristana's so squishy, and Silas does do a good amount of damage. Yeah.
I don't know if that Nautilus spear counts. It did no damage, but it did hit.
But yeah, lane assignments here, you want the Silas into that Tristana matchup. The Ornn has the Canic Rukern, like Ornn maybe 2 and 6, but he is a massive frontline tank, and Silas is not the best at shredding tank. So I think it's smart sending the Silas bot lane, and they're just RAWR's just over here trying to 5-man defend their base right now. We'll see. I think the Baron buff did fall off. I don't see any more purple auras on anyone on NLE's side.
Yes, it falls off just this wave. But the
Gotcha.
problem isn't the Baron Siege, it's this Soul, right? Siege is a little annoying, maybe you lose an inhibitor, but if you lose Soul, I can't see a way back into this game whenever you're a Kaisa Nidalee comp against Ocean Soul, right? Like, what's the point of playing anymore? The hook comes in on Nidalee, however, right now they don't even need Soul. The Charm only comes in on 2, but it doesn't matter because the rest of the team is running away. Nautilus is overcommitted. You'll still take that trade. Alistair still getting dove by a CC immune. Olaf doesn't care about the tower at all. Here comes Kaisa, trying to use the tower at any cost. Does get the barrier off, goes in. Ornn gets the 1v2 to get a kill on Silas, but Seraphine somehow cleans up the Kaisa. I'm not entirely sure how that happened. Overall on the map, it's a 3-for-4. But the dragon's still spawning in 30 seconds, and Emrys is definitely willing to just solo that.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, difference right now, NLE has their jungler up, and RAWR's jungler is dead. Like,
okay, but will that stay the same? Tristana is committing, gets knocked up, jumps up, but then W over commits and predicts it. Only needs 1 E with that red buff. Not gonna go for it now. Is looking for the tower. You do not get too close, Fedora. He will one-shot you. Spear Queen is here. Dragon has spawned and Emrys is at half health, but he's a red buff jungler, so he can certainly get that health back quickly. And the rest of NLE are coming up.
Yeah, looks like I do believe Emrys will get out of this, but with your jungler at half health, it's going to be a lot harder. Well, I guess he's recovering.
You got Seraphine, you got a camp right there. He's fine.
Yeah, NLE is just starting to strike. They want that soul. Like you were saying, against a Kai'Sa Nidalee comp, what are they going to do if the enemy team has Ocean Soul? Silas is stealing the Alistar ulti. It's not a bad one out of the ones that he has in their comp.
Okay, the dragon is going down rather quickly, but the fight is starting. Ult is not very good. They actually stole it with the Nidalee, and Nidalee is out of the pit onto the Olaf. This is such a bad fight for them, but it doesn't matter if Fedora goes down that quickly. Kai'Sa is too low to commit. We win the dragon, they win some of the picks, but I just don't think they can win the extended fight. And now they have to work against a 4-man siege with only 2 people alive, and it's Kai'Sa Nidalee. Their wave clear is non-existent.
And that is the truth. Kai'Sa does have the static shift, so she could, but no, they're gonna give up the inhib here. NLE definitely
they might
getting a
have to
push
give
here.
up more. There's a lot of minions in
Yeah.
that wave. There's no way for that cannon to die at this moment. It's finally getting under tower. Nidalee goes in, but against 4 with a bunch of CC will get bursted. Emrys is trying to zone out macro. The towers are falling. Emrys might fall as well, but you're more than okay with that if the tower falls. Emrys lives, and Nautilus is tanking. Look how little that tower does to Nautilus. Meanwhile, Kai'Sa getting owned by the Sylas. Sylas still has Kai'Sa. Oh, goes in, gets stunned, and the Nexus is just gonna fall before any of this matters. Fedora trying his best, but that will be the series for NLE, who come back despite the early deficits.
Yeah, that was a crazy game 3, crazy series overall. Like, that was 19 spears hit by Spear Queen in that game, and like we were saying, it's like the Nidalee did have a really good impact in the early game, but I feel like NLE's team fighting comp was just able to overpower completely. Like at those objectives, the Seraphine ult was doing so much. The Wukong ult just see the Wukong actually did the most damage in the game. Like those ults were massive, and Ornn, not surprising at all, did the most damage on his team. I always say it, Ornn deceptively does a lot of damage. 3 and 8, man still does 26,000 damage.
For Spear Queen, it feels like the worst of all worlds, because you play your one trick, you show that you can do a lot on it, and you still lose, and I don't think it's getting unbanned for a while, because everyone saw that and said, you know, I saw that Italy was able to pull that back from the brink. There's no way I'm leaving that in Italy unbanned. No chance.
Yeah. It's a good showing from Spear Queen, but I feel like just the comp overall, I feel like NLE executed their comp better than RAWR did in this situation. Yes, the Nidalee did have a good early game, did get a couple of good early kills, but the team fighting from NLE was just too strong this game. The Wukong, like I said, the Wukong, the Seraphine ultis combined just was it shredded their entire team. So you saw multiple 5-man ultis coming out of that Seraphine, the Wukong just shredding those charmed players afterwards. Seraphine, I think, might have had the most kill. No, okay, the Wukong and the Seraphine tied for kill participation, most kill participation. Actually, no, Nautilus had higher technically, but Nautilus had 24 assists. Seraphine and the Wukong both had 23 kill participation between the two of them. So you can really see who was making those team fights happen. Those Seraphine ults were just crazy. Wukong following up, just doing all that damage, shredding their backline. And yeah, the Nidalee had a good early game, but when you have a really squishy jungler like that, who, if they get CC'd, can get shredded that quickly, it's a really hard to make the plays and transition that lead into those objectives.
And you just see, like, it's so close to greatness for RAWR. You could see the glimmers of hope for them. If they maybe get one more dragon earlier instead of focusing on the grubs, or maybe they get the steal like they did, but they don't commit the rest of the team, so that way they have only 2 people to hold the Nexus, or maybe they just hold a little bit better, they can possibly scale up and win that game. It just unfortunately doesn't work out for them. However, they still did an amazing job in Game 2, and I think Game 3 showed that they can push a lead early. They just need to work a little bit on that dragon pressure, or just the team fights in general.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, we saw the gold. The gold was damn even almost this entire game 3 until a couple of one team fights from NLE side, and the gold lead ballooned from like 500 to 5,000 in the course of 3 minutes.
Yeah, and that goes our first showing of Warden League. You can see how the teams are really evenly matched. Went to all 3 games, and all 3 games felt, well, okay, the first game maybe not, but the other 2 games felt close at every turn. And I'm excited to see more from this league, especially NLE and RAWR. They have shown different things for each of their players. You know, Emery showing that he can pull off a lead pretty often, pretty early game, and even whenever he doesn't, he still makes those team fight works. And Spear Queen showing that if you're not going to ban Italy, you better have a plan for it, for sure.
Yeah, and I would like to say that NLE definitely had a plan for it this game with that Wukong pick. Really, maybe a little bit too over aggressive in the early game, maybe underestimating what Spear Queen can really do with that Nidalee in the early games, but it felt like the Wukong pick was something that they had perhaps prepared for against RAWR, and I think they used it to good effect.
Absolutely. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us for our first ever Warden League week. We will return with Warden League next Thursday, same time, or you can watch any of the other leagues Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and I hope you're excited for our leagues. Every league has now had a single week, and much more to come in the upcoming weeks.
Bye.